somebody's got us out there in the real world, and you can just give us a little text right now, or a little, what do you call this, folks? Live chat right now, and let us know that we're coming through. We're going to go ahead and introduce ourselves one by one, and we're going to take a couple minutes to just kind of shoot the shit, and just so that you can kind of see who we are before we go, you know what, deep into this very touchy subject. So, Hard Bastard, do you want to start us out?
Yeah, I'm the Hard Bastard, and I deconstruct bullshit on YouTube.
How about you? How about you, Base Mama?
I'm Base Mama, and if you don't already know me, then you suck. So there.
Day is dead.
I'm Day, and I'm just some chick on the internet who's talking about stuff on YouTube sometimes.
Well, that's pretty cool. So, and listen, I'm just going to let the girls talk amongst themselves and the Hard Bastard jump in, and maybe y'all get to know us a wee bit. And here in a couple minutes, we'll go right into the stream proper.
Okay.
Now I put you on the spot.
All right, so we're talking about Islam today, which kind of has a little bit something to do with the Milo thing. Everybody's already talking about it in the chat, so we might as well knock it out of the way. I already posted a video, I believe. Hard Bastard, you said you're going to be
yeah, tomorrow I should have a video on it.
The actual unfiltered video Milo posted to his Facebook, so you can actually watch that. It's quite long, but
okay, good.
A whole lot more shit makes sense. Because then you're like, holy shit, okay. Then you realize like how badly it was chopped together. And I believe the video that's circulating is an Evan McMullin creation.
Oh, are you serious? Evan McMullin? Oh, he's such a fucking cuck.
Exactly. So I was kind of like, that son of a bitch. But yeah, after I watched all that, I was kind of like, I really don't like Evan McMullin. And I'm a little softer on my stance toward Milo because I actually didn't like him. So I just thought he was, a loud-mouthed gay. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I just have to see the whole thing in context before I comment, because otherwise, there's no way for me to, one way or the other, say, because I totally do not trust what CNN said, and they've ran it. I have CNN usually on all the time. They've run a segment on them twice. So I have no trust in what they say, so I just got to see the whole episode or whatever.
I have no trust in CNN, period. Or Fox, or you can name it. I don't want to call none of them out. If you see it on the news and you don't get it on YouTube or on Minds or someplace like that, to me, it's bullshit. Period.
I don't even have TV, so I don't see much of the mainstream media.
That's nice.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. Well, actually, when I go over my mother's house to visit her, I'll just turn on the TV and I'll start watching it and be like, oh my God, this is why everybody's so stupid. Because they're getting so much bullshit information with no nuance to it, no underlying reasons why any conflict is happening. They just get told what to think. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
With Sweden, even if you don't like what Trump said in regards to there being an incident, when they run the story about it, they say, oh, he said he was referring to a Fox News report that turned out to be false. And I'm like, what about that was false about Sweden? Are they denying that Sweden has had a uptick in rapes? I don't understand how they can lie that fucking obviously. That's ridiculous.
No, y'all are going to bust my balls, but how do you make somebody a moderator, and do we want a moderator? Because, bastard, somebody just said, Jared Davis just said, I'm here for the Hard Bastard woo. Do we want to make a moderator? And if we do, can I just pick this guy?
Yeah, that's fine. I don't really.
Well, how do I pick him, Mama, or do you want to do it?
You click on your 3 dots next to their name, and you can set as moderator.
Okay, I got you. Thank you. Go ahead. Continue. Sorry, folks.
No problem. I'm just I have to do this from memory because I'm still banned from live streaming for a while.
Why?
Because Germany is cucked as fuck. That's why.
Man, they hit doggone big booby black girl. Tria's Logic. She's on the end of every one of my freaking videos. I watch her all the time. I should know her name, but they hit her too.
They made fun of the PSA, and my video's gone. It's deleted. It's not there anymore. So
wow.
Yeah, do not make fun of German National Public Television. They really don't like that.
That's
Did
crazy.
You get a hate speech strike?
No, it was a copyright strike on a playback bot.
Gotcha.
it just seemed weird because it was like German public television, and I'm like, what the hell did we? Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Germany did get it. Was Germany with Tree of Logic? I think she was making.
Yeah, it was definitely Germany.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
Ridiculous. I know that you were busy and that you were gonna, but after a couple people made one, and you know what else? The Tree of Logic. If you're watching it, I'm sure you are. You sweet thing. You know, I know that all of us can kiss your ass, and you really don't like anybody's help. You kind of like me. I dig that about you.
Okay, you guys, sorry. Before we get really started, I just realized I have to grab some batteries. I'll be right back.
Go ahead.
Cool.
Okay, cool. I'm trying not to show my ass on the way.
No, that's rock and roll. And you know what I'll
try
do?
not to make inappropriate comments about needing batteries then.
No, I think when she comes back, we'll do a little bit of whatever. We'll chat about a little bit more, and then we're going to hit this topic though, folks, because I know one thing: the Hard Bastard's got some hard hitting stuff for you. And Based Mama, of the people that I have spoken with that can say they are Americans, I'm not even gonna lie. Wherever she got her information from, I don't know. I can't corroborate it, but she has a wealth of information about these people and their ways and their customs.
Fucking live in it, man. You get to know it, or you get in a lot of trouble for not knowing it.
And listen, folks, I'll be keeping time, and I'm going to kind of keep over here too and keep chatting with folks, because I know that everybody watching, you know, that you feel like you know the Hard Bastard, and you feel like you know Day is Dead, and you feel like you know Based Mama, and the one or two of you, if any, that are here to see me, you might feel like you know me, but you know, we want you to feel that way, but on the same tip, we want to get to know you also. Can we all agree on that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, we love you.
We love you. That's a nice way to say it. So hell, unless I'm going to get killed for being like the school marm, which I usually tend to be, I'm just going to say maybe we can jump right into this balls deep and go into the Islam thing.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah, that's fine.
Rock and roll, Hard Bastard. I'd just like to say, because I'm going to chop this up a little bit later, we'd like to welcome everybody out there in TV land. We'd like to welcome you into the warm embrace of America. We'd like to ask you to just set aside your biases, set aside your petty differences, try to open your mind, expand your reason, join us, and see if we can find a solution to this ever-present problem. Go ahead, Hard Bastard.
All right, so the idea for this stream originally came from, I was talking with Ogre, and I think it was after Tree of Logic got a hate speech strike for making a video about Islam. And I think probably the reason she got it is because she just went straight to the point. There was very little bullshit in the video. And I would say that if you tell me not to talk about something, then, and I could probably say that for everyone here, that's exactly what we're going to do. So the deal with Islam, I'm going to take from a different angle, because we could go several ways. We could do like Quran verses, but that I think would kind of get boring. But the other thing is, when the left argues, if you've ever argued with an SJW or a leftist about Islam, or even a Muslim, they will say, "Oh, you're not an Islamic scholar. What do you know about Islam?" So I think that I'm going to break down, first of all, why I think Islam is a cult. And then I think the second time around, I'm going to use the screen share, because I think that if you listen to imams or Muslim scholars, they will tell you what they believe. And since SJWs are so big on allowing the marginalized groups to speak for themselves, but they won't allow the ex-Muslims to speak for themselves, which I think is one of the more marginalized groups that is usually shut out of conversations like this. But for the first 5 minutes, I'm just going to, because I was in a cult, and I'm going to list some things that I got from the International Cultic Studies Association. And you tell me if you think that you can apply the following things to Islam in regards to whether or not they are a cult. Now, I was in a cult in up until 2007, which I escaped from. So I do have some experience in regards to like escaping a cult, doing cult interventions, and like studying propaganda. And so I think from the cult standpoint, I can speak from whether you want to call it expertise or experience. And from the theological standpoint, I think just letting Muslims speak for themselves is great, because they will tell you exactly what they believe, and ex-Muslims will tell you exactly what they believe. And it just seems like the left, for some reason, is not allowing them, or at least is not listening to what they're saying. Because you can see, like with the Women's March, they had the picture of the girl with the American flag as a hijab, which is some shit. I'm not even like a patriotic person necessarily, but when you take the American flag and turn it into, I would argue, the world's biggest symbol of female oppression, that is some shit. So anyway, here's a list of cult characteristics from the International Cultic Studies Association that I think can apply. One of the things is the group displays excessively zealous and unquestioning commitment to its leader, and whether he is alive or dead, regards his belief system, ideology, and practices as the truth as law. Questioning, doubt, and dissent are discouraged or even punished. I would take it further. For example, while my experience in a cult was certainly a mindfuck, the difference between my experience and from what I've seen ex-Muslims have to go through is that their experience is much, much worse as...
But how, Bastard? I hate to break in, but if you could explain, because I want you to, most people wouldn't understand about what you went through. So what did you go through?
What I went through was, if you question or leave the cult, you basically will be shunned. And so you'll lose any friends or family that you have, or if you have like a job of some sort, you'll lose that. Now, ex-Muslims have it a lot worse because apparently, from at least what you can gather from either what they say or if you read stories, they have to deal with people trying to hunt them down and kill them. That's quite a different scenario. So even as bad as I had it, it's nothing compared to being in a scenario in which motherfuckers are coming after you to kill you just because you disagree with the religion. Now that's 5 minutes. I can keep going, or we can just...
you got one more minute, brother. You got one more minute. Just, I'm sorry, I interrupted. Wrap up your point.
No
Base Mama will go next. Just wrap up your point.
No
you got a minute. I got the timer right here.
All right, cool. So I'll throw out 3 more that I think are you can apply to both cults and also Islam. And this applies to any religion, really, but we're talking about Islam. The leadership...
Uh-oh, we may have just lost the Hard Bastard. If we did, we're going to move on to Based Mama. Are you there, Hard? Okay, he'll pick up right where he came back, and we don't want to leave you all hanging out there in TV land. So, Based Mama, if you want to go on to your first point that you'd like to make, I'm going to restart this clock right here, and you got 5 minutes to let us know what your feelings about. And I want to make one caveat for you, Based Mama, because she is going to give our final statement. Don't mistake what she is going to say for someone that loves Islam. Please, I kindly asked her if she would give the Muslim point of view, so to speak. And I don't even know what that will be coming from her, because she is her own person and will find me and kill me if I try to put words in her mouth. So, Based Mama, take it away.
Okay, well, for a lot of people, they grow up Muslim. They never actually read the text. They have an idea of things like the Quran, the Hadith, the Sunnah, the Sirah, the Sharia law. They don't understand it because they never really read it. They just kind of live it day to day. And how more or less it is applied affects their view of it or their acceptance of it. The first thing to remember is that you are taught, if you're born Muslim, you're taught from a very, very early age that you are both persecuted and also above other people. So you're special, and also in a state of persecution, like to perceive others as though they are jealous of you, your knowledge of the true truth, because the Quran is the inerrant and unalterable word of God and the final word of God. And
so, Based Mama, again, I don't want to bust your balls, but true truth, true truth? Could you unpack that a little bit before you continue?
Sure. It's the idea that whatever we might know in science or the natural world is only true in as much as it aligns with what the Quran has revealed to man. So it's science is viewed as if it's in conflict with the Quran, it is viewed as being insufficient or somehow defective because it doesn't align with what is in the Quran. And
okay, thank you very much. That was perfect.
Okay, everything is taken in that context. So if you do attempt to argue points in science or something like that, where you would maybe want hard evidence, something that you could test for a Muslim to say, well, the Quran says X, Y, Z, that is the absolute truth. There is no other truth. And so it is very difficult to, when you're engaging with Muslims, it's very difficult to kind of unstick that in their minds because this is the only reality they have ever known. And they're, because it is a self-perpetuating cycle, it will require kind of a hard line on defectors or apostates. It's very much with North Korea, we're a religion. Is the best way I could put it. The defector is basically fair game for abuse or even death, in so much as the law surrounding feels like. And a Muslim will very easily simply ignore the law of the land in favor of Sharia or Islamic law. And they will usually take issues of crime, even issues like murder, they will take it to their imam rather than the police because they don't trust people outside of the ummah. They're not people that are really full people because they're not fully Muslim, so they're lesser. Inside of the ummah is all of the Muslim faithful. So anybody outside of that is not to be trusted, and then there are varying degrees of who you can trust inside of that based on the Sharia law, based on how, like, their family relation to you and things like that. So hopefully I didn't go over my time. I just kind of wanted to get you in the headspace of a Muslim. Uh-oh. We lost the ogre.
Where is everybody? Did we lose both of them?
We lost the ogre.
He's the moderator, dude. He's like the person. Is Hard Bastard back? Say something if you're back.
I think his mic's busted.
He just got muted. I see a mute button. Sorry, everybody. Should I just say my spiel?
If you can, we only have about 10 minutes before it cuts it off if Ogre doesn't get back in here.
Oh, wow. Okay. Sorry, guys. This is impromptu, but we'll hopefully get this stuff figured out. I guess my opinion is I guess that Islam as a religion is quite complicated, especially these days. There's, many different sects and clerics and countries, promoting different ideas based on the main tenets of Islam, but they all ultimately go back to the Quran, and there's a lot of hadiths around that are, different via where you grew up or the region. And it's a very complicated issue. And as far as westernization goes, I feel like there's a lot of, Muslims who have been living in America or the Western world for centuries or decades that have been integrated and are moderate Muslims. Oh, hey, the ogre's back. There he is.
Can you all hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, we're all back. I don't know
We're
what the
all
hell
back?
just happened, but
Yeah, that was weird. I don't know what the fuck.
They're trying to shut you down, Russian hackers.
It's Islam.
Yeah.
It's Islam.
Someone said, too bad she's a vapor.
Hey, look though,
Oh.
I missed the end of Base Mountains, and that's okay. It looks like you girls kept it going. So if you will just continue, Dave, we'll catch up with where we need to be, and then Hard Bastard, you'll be next.
Cool.
I'm just going to take a quick vape for that guy who said, who's going with
Very
the vaping
different.
stereotypes. So
Yeah,
That's
bastard,
for you,
that
dude.
was weird. I gotta say, that was freaking weird because first I disappeared and then you just disappeared. First you disappeared and then I don't know what happened. My connection was good. It just got cut off. But
Did you
that's
catch-
for another conspiracy.
Did you
theory.
catch my last line?
no.
No, I think we missed
No, I didn't. We didn't catch like the last. Yeah, it cut off like probably about 10 seconds after you started your last minute. But that's get down. The whole
All right, cool.
last minute was scrapped. If you'll start there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll-
Day, I'm so
I'll
sorry,
start my
everybody that's
note.
watching. There's nothing we
Start
can
my
do
note.
about the technical issues.
Yeah.
no problem.
Go
No,
for
you.
it.
In fact, that's they probably don't want you to, but do whatever you got to do.
Who?
Good job, girls.
No, we can go back to the
Ladies.
hard bastard if he wants to get his final point.
No,
in.
you go. You continue, and we'll wrap it right up. You can either continue where you were, you can start at the beginning, but I don't know because everybody else has already heard what you said. So if you just want to pick it up, you girls
Yeah.
were doing fine without us fuckers.
I guess I'll just pick it up. My opinions on as far as Western integration is that the Middle East is in conflict right now. There is so much going on there, and as far as integrating into the West, I feel like reform has to happen, which has happened in the other Abrahamic religions, Judaism and Christianity. There has been so much reformation in those religions. If we were to go off, the Bible or the Torah, then we would be doing heinous stuff too. But in modern day society, we've left a lot of that behind. I say we've. I'm an atheist, but coming from America, most people are Christians or Jewish or whatever, and so Islam is kind of the only religion, as far as like the three major world religions, who hasn't caught up in that regard, and they haven't integrated. And it is also the only religion that is kind of, there's no state versus faith separation. Like, the religion is political. It was built on that. And so there's no separation of church and state or secularism versus government, so it's very different. And to integrate into Western society, you're going to need to, drop some of your beliefs, and that's just not going to happen. So I don't know how we reconcile people with, a very strict doctrine and also different sects of that doctrine based on hadiths or extremism, especially those types, integrating into the Western world. And how do we deal with that, or maybe make Islam a more moderate Muslims the kind of bigger picture, and maybe they from the inside can change the way that they integrate into the West. I guess that's what I gotta say. I'll go on later.
No, that's a really good point, Day. That reformation comes from the end, and I just realized that I actually got to put a little pinpoint on this. And folks, I've thrown the timer right out because I feel like we're doing really good without that nonsense. Nobody needs a school marm here, I don't think. So I'm just going to say this. I'm not going to share with anybody today or any other day or tomorrow or any other year, and there's nothing that you can do or you can say in the comments that will hurt my feelings, and go ahead and try. I'll just laugh. I think it's a joke when people that don't know me says my mother's a whore and works behind the truck stop for $2 an hour or whatever. It's a joke to me, and I think it's funny. But you know what?
Your mom? Okay.
You know her, huh? No, base mama, that offends me because you know her, you bitch. Calm down. So, no, all jokes aside. But now that I said that, I have to say that Day just made one of the most profound points, and that's why I wanted her here, because I knew that this young lady, people look at her and they can see all kinds of things, but I saw a wonderful, brilliant mind. And the Reformation has to come from within. There is no way on God's green earth that Islam is going to change. And I don't want to step on the hard bastard. I have a little inside track, so I'm not. Well, I don't want to start talking about the imams so much.
No, you're all good.
Because, you're going to tell us about the imams in a second. When they take the opportunity to say, which I'm Jewish, if you can find me a rabbi that says to drag a woman and stone her to death or drag a man and throw him off of whatever. And let me just read something to you before I ramble this on, because I'm going to keep this down to about another minute, and then I'm going to throw this back to the bastard. But here it is. This is Leviticus, the book of Leviticus, the Levitical law, the law given to the Levites, the tribe of Levi, that was meant to be the keepers of the law. It says in Leviticus 20, verse 11, if a man lies with his father's wife, he has uncovered his father's nakedness. Both of them shall surely be put to death. Their blood is upon them. In verse 12, if a man lies with his daughter-in-law, both of them surely shall be put to death. They have committed perversion. Their blood is upon them. I will say it again. If you don't want to go to some morons like the Westboro Baptist Church, or some, I respectfully say this, I don't think the Heart Bastard care, or some fucking control freak ruin your life if you don't say what we say and do what we do, and if you ain't out there on your bicycle with your tie on doing your whatever. I think how long is it, bastard? How long did they expect you to do evangelism in the Jehovah's Witnesses? They expect like 12 hours a week. It's a long time.
It's voluntary, like,
but it's not voluntary.
But it's not. It's like, oh, you can do whatever you want. However, if you don't get about 30 hours a month or 10 hours a month, you are serving Satan. Like, it's just very psychologically fucked up. So I'd say 10 hours is the minimum.
10 hours is the minimum a week. So I'm going to put a point on this, and I'm going to kick it back. But I'm going to say Reformation, as Day so poignantly said, Reformation is the only way. And Reformation can only come from the hearts of the leaders. And remember, people, the folks that got, if you believe in that mythos, the folks that got Jesus Christ murdered were not the Sadducees. They were the Pharisees. And most people think they were in control of the church. They were not. They were the lay people. The Sadducees were the Sadducees were the ones that controlled the church. So that said, I will tell you some more about the Reformation of the Christian church, because if you're going to come to me and tell me like Baraki, Wacky, Tabaki, Husseini, Obami, and going to try to tell me that, you know, we need to think about the Crusades, tell me something that has happened in the last week, please. Don't tell me about something that's happened, because the Reformation started 500 years ago. So, bastard, I'm pretty much done.
Yeah, no problem. Like, the other thing is the argument that is used when they bring up the Crusades, but we could never bring up, for example, shit that Muslims did in previous periods of time either. So it's like a similar double standard. I think it's also used in regards to like trying to hold us accountable for slavery and shit like that. Now, the thing with Reformation, and I agree with all that, but the problem is, and I'm going to play some videos from ex-Muslims. I completely agree with Reformation, but not only are people that try to reform marked for, I believe it's death by fatwa. I think that's correct. But even people on the left view, I forget the guy's name. It's something Nawaz. He's from the UK.
Najib Nawaz.
Yes, that's exactly. Thank you. I don't necessarily agree with everything that he says, but I do think it's good that he is at least attempting to reform. And not only do you have the Muslim pushback, but then you have the pushback from the left, labeling him racist. I believe the Southern Poverty Law Center, or one of those groups, labeled him as an Islamophobe. But this is the thing, like I could continue and be like, well, I think this or that, but and I do have some shit with imams, but when I was doing the research and when I was coming across the ex-Muslims, I think that especially if you're going to argue with a leftist who is of the ideology that you must give the marginalized group the voice. Well, that's great. So that's what I am going to do. I'm going to play ex-Muslims. These aren't very long. These are just a couple minutes. So let me hit screen share, full screen. 1 second. All right. You can see my screen. Yes.
They'll be able to see it. I actually don't. Mama, should we be able? I can see your screen on yours. What does he have to do, Mama, to make that pop up like you showed me the other day?
Where is she? Oh, she's muted. I see it on the little screen.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
You
me
need to
too.
click on his box on the down arrow and
Yeah,
present
click on
it.
my box.
And then do what? Present to everyone, right? I think I just did
Present
it.
it. Click on the box
And present it, yes.
present.
I think I just did that.
All right, you should
Yep.
I
You're
see
on,
it,
big
yeah.
guy.
you should see a
Okay.
girl with dark hair. You see that?
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna play this. All right.
Are we supposed to hear it?
Yeah, you're supposed to hear it. Is there something that I need to do with that?
Turn your. I'm looking. I don't know.
Oh, wait, speaker volume. Hold on a second.
Technical difficulties brought to
No, I
you
see
by
it.
the hard bastard. Everybody that came to watch him, blame his ass, not mine.
I'm gonna turn
That's
my
Hangouts, man.
headphones up. Hold on a second.
Mm-hmm.
No, actually, if it wasn't for him, I don't know. Maybe if it was the two girls would have got me some people watching me, but I might have like.
Is that
101.
louder?
I can't hear it.
Okay, 1 second. Let me see.
All right, real quick while we're getting this figured out, I
Sure.
was
Yeah.
reading the chat, and once it starts, I'll stop talking. But I was reading the chat, and people were asking about Jesus as a figure in Islam, and if he was a big deal. And yeah, he was a big deal. He was, considered a prophet,
Wow.
not the son of God, but he was considered a prophet. And I actually, researching this, found something interesting. They said that Jesus wasn't crucified at all, and that God rose him to heaven. They like poofed him away before he got crucified. So like he didn't even go through all that shit as far as Islam is concerned. And he was just like such a great prophet that he got poofed into heaven, which I found very interesting. And they said that he was not, that he was born a virgin also in the Muslim, in the Islamic faith. He was still born a virgin, but he was not the son of God. He was a prophet who did do miracles and was taken to heaven by God before he got, crucified on the cross. But he was
They
not
don't believe
risen.
that Jesus was the same Jesus that Christians do.
They believe he's the same
Well,
Jesus, but
Yeah, they
Well,
believe
they
he's
know
the
they
same
believe that he was
Jesus
the same
up to the
person.
point
Yeah.
that he's crucified and resurrected, because that is the door to salvation for Christians. And if Muhammad's going to make his own religion, he has to deny that in Jesus, so that he can now provide the new way to salvation.
although
Pastor, did
Muhammad
I do
doesn't
something that completely
consider
lost you?
himself.
No, I'm here. Can you hear
Okay,
me?
all right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, girls.
Muhammad doesn't consider himself a deity or a son of God or
I'm aware.
anything divine, and he
But I
actually
mean that
the-
he has to take that away, because there's no grace. Islam is a works-based religion, so you have to earn your way to heaven, and
Yeah.
that has, like, if Jesus died and was resurrected and you can ask forgiveness and
oh
get to
yeah,
heaven, then it's kind
Yeah.
of pointless for him
they're
to
saying
exist.
it's null and void. Yeah, no, so he has to make different rules, definitely.
Yeah,
And
Joseph Smith did the same thing with Mormonism, and a couple of the Great Disappointment people who started churches out of that, they also did the same thing.
Mhm.
So,
yeah, well, they kind of have to, don't they? And so another thing I found interesting is that Muhammad is not considered a divine figure. He's just, the prophet of God. He transcribed the word of God directly. And so that's why they don't allow any pictures of him, because they were really against false idols and cleansing everything of false idols besides God. And he didn't want anybody to portray his image, because he specifically didn't want to be worshipped. So
But
I also
who
found it
else
interesting.
directly? In fact, I think there's someone here, and I won't mention them unless they speak up. But I think there's someone here outside of myself that studied him for about 2.5 years and worked with him, that knows something about the Mormons. Who else, allegedly directly transcribed the Bible from golden tablets on the hill Cumorah? Who else said that they had divine knowledge and they could speak for God? Anybody?
The dude
oh, you
with the
want me to
hat.
do it?
No, I want anybody that may
Yeah,
know.
it's Joseph Smith.
Yeah, Joseph
The dude
Smith.
with the hat.
Yeah, the seer hat, because he put a rock in the hat. He'd be like, I know there's gold on your property, motherfucker. Give me 10 million first. But
Yeah,
look,
he was actually arrested for that.
yeah, you know, in New York State, most people think anyway. Yes. So, you know, there's a lot of craziness. Bastard, anytime you're ready with
Yeah,
that
let me
clip,
try this one more
let
time.
me know. So let
Let
me
me do-
put you back up here with presentation. Sorry, girls, I just want to get to this. And then listen, everybody listening here, as soon as he's done with this, we're going to have a little consortium, and we may take a little 5, let y'all chat among yourselves, and then come right back. If it's even 5, it'll be 2. So give it a shot, hard bastard.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Good. All right, I'm going to do a sound check. I'll play it for 5 seconds. If it doesn't work, then I'll just describe it. All right.
Sounded like
hear
you
it?
tried to. No.
All right, fuck it.
No.
All right, so basically in these videos, and we'll put them in the description. Here, let me switch off shared screen. We will put them in the description, but it's several videos. One surprisingly, Vice, which I would have thought would be more like pro-leftist Islam is the religion of peace bullshit. But it has various ex-Muslims who, one, for example, has her family chasing after her, and they're going to kill her for like just not wanting to be part of the religion anymore. Then you have various people. One guy is gay, and you know they throw gay people off of buildings, so he obviously does not want to live in Saudi Arabia anymore. Then you have the Vice one's interesting. They have a girl who apparently there's this gigantic mosque in Saudi Arabia. I guess isn't that where Mecca is? The giant Mecca mosque. And apparently what she did is she took a picture of like a notebook during this giant meeting with millions of Muslims that said like something in regards to the fact that she was an atheist. It was like very risky, very naughty for her to do that. And the whole story on Vice is how they're trying to smuggle her out of Saudi Arabia in order to be able to just not believe in Islam. And so, especially when you see like feminists talking all this bullshit about the patriarchy and various shit, but they are absolutely silent when it comes to all of the women in all of these countries that have to undergo, whether it's forced, what do they call that? FGM, forced
Female genital mutilation.
Yes,
Cutting their fucking clitoris off.
which is fucking awful. I mean, that's like if you. I'm not gonna get into detail, but if you look at like how
To
they
be
do
fair,
it,
there are varying degrees of this.
of what
I'm just saying some. Yes, I'm not saying it's okay by any means, but in some cases that doesn't happen.
Will you tell us about that whenever you just like another
Yeah,
minute?
no,
Because I
yeah,
kind of want to know too, because I've heard there's only one way, but go ahead, you know.
Yeah, like there's more like of a medical procedure. You're saying?
Yeah, I mean, in some places it's actually done quite professionally. Most of the time, it's not. The majority of people who observe it are Africans, North Africans. So it's not super popular in other places, but when it comes to, it seems to be, it is in the Hadith that it is liked, that it's like a good thing, but it's also there are restrictions on it, and most of it seems to be cultural. Like,
And
I
Mama,
know
listen,
it's not what
because-
people want to hear, but that's the truth. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, no, that's fine. But because a lot of people don't know what a hadith is and stuff like that, would you just give a disclaimer when you use some of those words that some folks might not know?
Yes, a hadith is a saying of Muhammad. It's a recitation of one of his companions during his time of prophecy, I guess, or revelation. And it's there recalling a situation where he made a ruling. So if they had a question and they went to him and he gave them an answer, then that would be covered in hadith, and then that would become like Sharia law.
Okay. All right. And Bastard, if you want to continue, or if
Sure.
you were done, based, Mama.
Would you say there's like any sort of like voluntary shit with that, or it's just like they force you to do it, but it might not be as like savage as in like Africa?
again, it really depends. In some places, it's viewed more like how we would view like vaginal rejuvenation. Not saying it's anything wonderful for sure, but there are places where it is done.
But
under surgical
labiaplasty, you're
conditions.
saying that sometimes it could be compared to labiaplasty? Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes.
Okay.
And sometimes that's all that it is. But when you're talking about the more, the places where it is more common, that's when you're talking about massive amounts of tissue and organs cut away. You run the risk of fistula and permanent damage, things like that, and rusty razors, and in a hut somewhere like that does happen. And to be honest, it's a wonder they survive it. But that's about it. I mean, it depends on where you are, how advanced the society is, how receptive they are to science, technology, and medicine.
Would you say the advanced ones that it's like they're more moderate and they will do it based off of if the woman wants to, or are they still forced to do it?
Yeah, that's what I want to know too. Is it
That
ever
really-
voluntary?
Yes. It comes down to a lot of the time the family. They might kind of push you or force you or pressure you into it. And then some, like in Egypt is a good example. You have a really high level of it happening. And that is how it's viewed. It's viewed as we would view vaginoplasty. Like that's how they see it. And it is done under surgical conditions in most developed areas. But once you step outside of that city, you're talking about rusty razors in a shed. I mean, there is a world of difference from the city to not in the city when it comes to the Middle East generally.
Okay, well,
But
listen.
if I could
think this is
interject
awesome.
real quick.
That's what I want, Dave. We've been talking, and I haven't heard much.
Still
from
on
you, so
this
yes.
topic, whether it's advanced surgically or not, and not just like done in a more barbaric sense, I still feel like female genital mutilation is wrong on the whole. I don't even believe that male circumcision should be a thing until I don't feel like any decisions based on genitals or cutting off an organ or a sexual part, anything to do with the genitals, it's not cool unless you have agency. And I feel like if you want to make that decision as a covenant with God, if you're Jewish, or as some sort of chastity thing, if you're Muslim, that should be your choice, which is it. And the thing is that it's not going to happen so much in the Islamic faith. Like, a lot of these women do not have a choice, whether it's done in a hygienic way or not. It's still a practice that I feel should be done away with.
And I'll tell you what,
that's
listen,
insane.
Dave, you said something very important. Choice, because as a Jewish person with a Jewish father that was uncircumcised, with a grandfather that was uncircumcised, from a family of Jews that understood, not only did we hide who we were until about 1978, because we come from the South, but we listen, Dave, thank you, because it's no better, bastard. It's no better, mama, when they cut the foreskin off of a woman. For you gentlemen that have had that done to you, you may not realize, but your foreskin, which I thank God have, and I can tell you the pleasures of it. I'm not going to get into that right now.
Don't worry, like you're not going to get an argument. I have 4 boys,
No.
and none of them are circumcised.
Foreskin
If
is
they
where
want
it's
to do as
at.
adults, they can go ahead, but I am not going to be responsible
Foreskin is
for
where
that.
it's at.
Well, I'm not saying that's where it's at, but listen,
Interesting.
bastard.
No, I
Listen,
agree.
bastard.
I'm not
There
gonna
is
Oh, this just went
there
right
is
off
as
the
many-
rails. That's good.
No, not off the rails, and we'll get right back on it because I'm just so
I
glad
like
that
off the
they
rails.
said that. Because look,
Now we're like debating,
there
foreskin or no.
are
like
as
it.
many
Why
nerve
does it
endings
always
in the
go here?
foreskin as there is in a clitoris. That is a fact. That's a scientific fact. Look it up. So go. I'm done off the rails. But thank you so much, Dave, for pointing that out, because I believe that any genital mutilation, and I know the bastard agrees with me, but I
course.
do appreciate that Base Mama had that really good perspective. So that said,
Yeah, I
Dave,
didn't know
you
that. I
what?
didn't know there was a more like not an advance, but kind of at least a medical advance. So that's at least something.
Yeah, and I never heard it termed as labioplasty either. But that opens
And
up.
sometimes that's all
my
that there
view.
is done there. They actually also have. I'm going to tell you a dirty secret of Muslim girls.
Please.
They also will have hymen replacement surgery.
Oh,
Oh yeah,
Sort of like
rejuvenation.
give a fake hymen so it looks like they're virgins when they're not. I've known a few girls who
Yeah.
were here in the U.S. and very much American girls, and before they went home, had that done. I was like, oh, all right, if that's for you, whatever. And you can get little. It's gonna sound gross, but you can get little sheep's intestines full of blood.
Oh man, I've
To
heard all
basically
about this.
bust on your
Wow.
You
wedding
know what?
night.
Jews
So,
do that a lot too in the
but
Muslim
wait,
faith. In
here's
fact,
why.
they've been doing that for years all over the place.
It's so that I knew a Tunisian girl who did this because she and her fiance were basically married for like 10 years before they got married. And of course, they were living together in the US, but when they went back to Tunisia to have their wedding, she went and got the blood pack, and they throw the sheet out the window to the girl's father, and he,
Oh wow,
no
gross.
kidding, dances with it in the street.
Oh,
What
that's
the
completely
fuck?
normal.
Jesus, you
Ah,
got
totally
To
normal. Nothing
celebrate
wrong with
the
that.
fact
Can't you
that
just
his
like
daughter was
cut
a
your
virgin.
arm or
Totally
something
normal.
and wipe some blood on a tissue and throw it out there
I
for
know,
your
that's why you
dad?
just get like the blood pack thing and you just smash it like a ketchup packet.
Oh,
I know.
oh,
That's
okay.
what happened.
Mm.
This is the
Okay, all
insight
right, now
I
I
have
gotta
for
say
you.
we're
You
getting off the
wanted
rails. We really
my
are.
real life shit, and I brought it to you. Okay.
Thank you, Mama. But I
good.
must say, listen. All right, folks, we are gonna take a break, but let's do one more round,
All right.
and that will start with Day is Dead, because Day, I appreciate you cutting in, but and that's if you have something to say right now. If you have something else to say on your next point, I would love to hear it from you, and then we'll go back to the bastard, go back to Based Mama, and then I'll just give us a cutout. We'll take a 5 in case we got to pee or anything, because we are human beings out here, believe it or not.
Yes.
Okay.
So go ahead, Day, if you got anything, rock and roll.
I guess something interesting I learned today was that back when Islam was kind of a newer religion, it was like, I forget what century it was. It was a long time ago. There was a 400-year period where Islam kind of got brought to Spain and other parts of the world, and they integrated pretty well and actually converted a lot of people to come over to Islam. And Baghdad at the time was kind of a center for sciences, philosophy, and math. And they actually preserved a lot of the old works of the Greek philosophers, which would have been lost. There was some sort of thing that happened, but they actually translated them to Arabic or something, I believe, and were able to keep a lot of those major historical facts from the old Greek philosophers. And they invented algebra. And the numbers we use today, they're called Arabic numerals, not Roman numerals. They're Arabic numerals, and like our entire number system that we use today is based off, the center that was an Islamic center, and there was a ton of great work done, and it was done with the cooperations from Jewish and Christian, all coming together for a very short period of time in the long run. 400, I think it was 400 years or something this happened. And it was actually a really great time for learning and coming together and promoting human thought and knowledge. And then I don't know what happened. Well, I think a bunch of wars happened.
It didn't happen. That's actually a total myth.
Well, I heard about. I also read
It's just
about
a
the
lie
other
they tell
thing.
you, man.
No, it was a
But
very
Mama-
small period of time.
Yeah. First of
I
all,
have to defend her.
preserving.
That is not a myth, but what it is,
No, it's
Mama,
not.
is
Oh, yeah, it
were
is.
they were not Muslim as we see them now. And what
Well,
she's
no. Here's what I'm
we
going to
do-
tell you. Everything they did to preserve everything that came before them is haram. They broke the law. They could have been killed for that, because you are supposed to destroy everything
Right.
that is
That's
not
before they
aligning with
reformed.
Islam.
But isn't that the thing
So
that changed?
they're not going to be
Pastor,
like
jump in
working
here.
together too much, because that has to be something that's hidden.
So you're saying that's not, it was like pre-Muslim, but they don't want it to be Muslim because it's haram, basically. is what
But
you're
it was
saying.
still the
Well-
Ottoman Empire. can we agree on that, Mama, that it was the
Yeah,
Ottoman Empire?
It was.
Yeah, you just had
Yes,
two
it
different.
was.
It's just not all that it's made out to be, I guess is the best way to put it. And Arabic numerals are actually based from Sanskrit, so they're not actually.
Well,
Arab.
that's true too, Mama. But they put it. Listen, you know what else they did is the Ottoman Empire invented the numeral 0, and they were trying to work without a 1 in England, and they invented the numeral 1, and it was the Ottoman Empire. They just weren't under Sharia law, and they didn't
I'm
use
not
their
saying
good
that
book.
it wasn't. What I'm
just
saying
you relax
is
too now, young lady. I'm just saying that
it's
you just
made
blew my
out to
mind
be
with
a
that.
lot more
And I
than
know
it
history
was.
really well. But
And
Hard
this is
Bastard,
a
do you dig what she's saying? That it's what? I mean, somebody bring some sanity to this and help me, because if what you just said is true, it blows away a lot of history that I know and understand.
I think what Base Mama is saying is that they don't want that to be counted in their history because it was haram. So it's not necessarily something that you can credit Islam with. Am I on point right there?
Well, and there wasn't a lot of development. It was more preserving what was already there, because that was kind of that you had to hide that. You couldn't say, as actually Philip Daniel pointed out, I'm acknowledging you, stop having an aneurysm in the chat. The Abbasids, because the Ottomans were a later gunpowder empire. Like, he's gonna have a coronary, I know it. But it was you're not supposed to allow anything that is not directly Muslim to survive. That's why, like, when ISIS is going through Palmyra and they're not Palmyra, sorry, they're going through Syria and they're just busting up things that have been there for thousands of years, and they don't give a shit. It's because to them that is it's evil, and they have to destroy
was
it.
an Indian invention. Sorry, I had to throw that in there. I just got corrected by somebody that I know that knows what they're fucking talking about. So obviously I don't. Okay. I think they invented the Ottoman Empire, but they didn't.
I thought it was a 0, but the thing is that
it was the Indians.
No, it's just when you look into this on a surface level, or you just Google it or something, you're gonna get like very pro Islam stuff.
Yeah.
But it's not always. I mean, there are gonna be like some parts of it that are true, but most of it's gonna be more of an exaggeration on the thing as opposed to an actuality. Like, they'll say the Arabs gave you coffee. That's not actually true. It was an African man who came to a monk and said, drink this, you'll love it. And that was pretty much it.
Dancing goat. Hey, listen, why don't we do this, folks? Everybody's in agreement to that, because Dave's last one was badass, and it kind of got us off the rails again, which I agree is very cool. It makes for really good radio land, TV land, whatever we call this. Why don't we do this? Why don't we just mute ourselves? I think Dave knows what to do. Y'all over there in the chat.
No, we just all mute ourselves.
Take a chill pill. We're gonna go take a wee.
Invite the chat to ask some questions.
Yeah. If we don't need to go do anything, we can just take.
Yeah, I'll be back. I got to get some stuff. 1 second.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, me too. So I'm gonna mute myself. If you girls want to do whatever you got to do, either talk to these folks. But we will be back at 10 o'clock, and we will be back at 9, and I think this may go for 10, just in case we scheduled it till 10. And you know what? As long as everybody's down, we'll go. As long as there's people watching, and we'll try to entertain you. Base Mama, and especially Day is Dead. Everybody thinks I'm stupid, but I always fool them like Trump. I may be stupid, but I found you, girl. And that last thing that you said is probably the best thing that has been introduced into this discussion so far. And
well, it is an interesting topic, and I want to hear more about what Base knows, because she's right. A lot of people do just Google things, and
I'm gonna go say hi to my hooker and do some cocaine. I'll be right back.
Okay, cool. I don't know if you need to get more hyper though. Well, anyway, yeah, Base Mama, that was. You're right. People do just do a Google search, and they're gonna find. I found a lot of things just praising Islam, and you really have to go to the opposite side to find out the other things, and maybe it's somewhere in the middle ultimately. I don't know, but it sounds like you know a lot more on the subject than I do. But
actually, the way that I left was this guy named Ibn Warq, who was also an ex-Muslim, wrote an article about these 2 Muslim chicks who basically had, I don't think it was MSU, I can't remember, it was a college in Michigan, and she there were two Muslim girls, and they had the entire sports complex shut down every day for an hour, so those two girls could go in and work out and not be, harassed or molested by men and retain their modesty. And even as a Muslim, I was like, what the fuck, really? But yeah, they did that.
Wait, are you Muslim?
I was.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. That's a very interesting perspective to have on here.
Yeah, and I got really pissed because he was basically, when you're Muslim, it's really obnoxious and offensive to you when people call you out on your shit.
Yeah.
So he was explaining that this is what Muslims do. They demand exceptions be made for them and that people around them bow to them. And this was probably about 15 years ago, because it would have been about the time my daughter was born. And that kind of, it planted the seed of doubt, and they said, don't get on the internet. That was like the biggest thing. Don't get on the internet or you'll get possessed by a jinn. They said that all the fucking time.
Wow.
You will get possessed by a demon. It is. And I was like, that's the most retarded thing ever, because I'm American and I grew up here. So I was not going to believe that I could get possessed by a demon by using Facebook or MySpace or whatever. So that's when I started looking on. Yeah, I mean, I started looking on the internet, and I Googled him. No, I think it was actually Ask Jeeves. That's how long ago this was.
Oh my God, Ask Jeeves, dude.
Yeah, and I looked it up, and I looked him up, and I read what he had written, and I was like, oh, I hate everything right now, because I was married to a Muslim. I had just had a baby. I was like, oh, shit. So it was not a fun way to find out, but I found out anyway, and I'm glad I did. I mean, at least, I know better now, but I didn't. Then I was fully in. Like, I was full on crazy. Like, I would have killed Jeff for talking shit about Muhammad crazy.
Wow.
Damn.
Yeah, because you're surrounded by it,
Someone said, I wonder if Base Mama considers the whole Islamic Enlightenment thing is even possible.
I believe that's what we're going to be talking about a little bit later, right?
Oh, okay, cool. Well, let's not shoot our wad right now.
Oh, I mean, if you're into it, I'm fine with it.
I don't know. I just saw the question.
Did you have to bring your husband out of it, or bring anyone out of it?
No, he's still Muslim. I'm still fighting for custody of my daughter because skewed as the family court system is in the United States toward women, Muslim beats vagina every time.
Damn.
Wow.
So,
and that's hard to do in the court system as far as custody is concerned.
Yeah, we've been doing it for about 13 years now.
Jesus.
And they just keep kicking it around to different courts and everybody's trying to avoid making a ruling on it. And she's almost an adult, and she's just like, I just don't want to be here anymore. But she's
what
done
does she
pretty
want?
good. She wants to live here. And I don't blame her. She's not a Muslim, and she's been very clear about that since she was about 7 years old.
Don't want no honor killings done to her.
Exactly. Also, her aunt tried to talk her into having the operation, they call it, and she was like, "Oh hell no, I'm not even a little bit interested in that."
You know what? Well, I'm just glad she has a choice and isn't forced to do that. Okay.
Oh, he knows I'd kill him. I mean, I would absolutely kill him. And he knows it. He's more, trust me, he's more afraid of me than he is of Allah. Okay. And he should be. But I've managed to get it rolled back to where she's not allowed to travel to Egypt anymore. So that's good. Because that made her really nervous. It started
Egypt is
about 9 or 10.
A crazy place right now.
About the time that she was 9 or 10, men started asking to marry her, and it freaked her out. And they would say things like, you shouldn't wear short sleeves, men can see your arms, and don't wear shorts, people will think you're an easy girl. And she's like a 9-year-old kid, and she's like, what?
And that's just gonna feel disgusting to a 9-year-old.
Yeah.
And from America.
Yeah, I mean, she is American. I mean,
exactly.
It's really weird for her, but the thing that really upset her is that nobody else seemed upset by it.
Yeah, of course not.
And she was like, she was about, I think she said she was 12 maybe or 13. And she was at a cousin's wedding or something, and they were discussing basically her dowry. She's like, hell to the no.
Fuck that.
Yeah, she was like, fuck no, I'm not doing this. She's like, I need to know where the embassy is. I need to know how to get back to the U.S. She's like, no, I'm not getting stuck here.
Wait, discussing her dowry, and she was an American citizen? I just broke into this.
Yeah, she was about 12 or 13. I can't remember exactly how old she was.
Actually,
she didn't tell me about it.
I am going to cut out for a second. I'll be right back.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Okay.
In fact, we'll chill back, hard bastard. If it's all right with you, we'll just chat for another minute because I've got definitely until 10 and then whatever. I'll peter out with the last ones. I think this is going real well. I sure would like to. I want to say something though, if y'all will indulge me for about 30 seconds. Listen, folks, listen to me carefully. I do this out of the kindness of my heart and because through good business decisions and a really excellent wife that has bought everything that you see, including the solid gold owl and everything that I own, my guitars, everything that I have, and that she's managed the money that we've made. We've moved furniture professionally. We've owned our own truck. Now we own a farm, and my wife is a respiratory therapist. So what I'm trying to say is I'm not bragging, but I'm trying to tell you that right now I do this because I am a type A alpha male. If you can't tell that by this, you're fucking stupid and need to go and meet some of them. But that said, there are other folks here, and I'm not going to mention any of them, that they're doing that out of the kindness of their heart too. But they're risking their treasure, their life. They're risking things for you, whether you want to think that or not. That, you can live in a bubble, you can live in a box, you can try to pretend, you can pull a blind over your eyes, you can do whatever you want, and try to pretend that Base Mama is crazy enough to invite people to go to the bar with her and tell her where she's at. If you don't think that takes balls, you're stupid. If you haven't watched her videos, the hard bastard. I've known him now personally for I think about 6 weeks. I don't know some bitch's name. Don't know where he lives. I don't even ask him because I don't want to know. It's nobody's business. That said, if you can find it in your heart, man, swing by Day is Dead and the Hard Bastard and Base Mama, because I don't know which of the ones, but some of them they might, if you enjoy what they do and you just take it and there's a Patreon there, you're stealing. So now I'll shut up. Go ahead, yo.
Would you say, Base Mama, like when you left, did you have fear that like people might come and because I don't remember that you were an ex-Muslim, but now I think I did read that on your Twitter bio. So like, did you have to deal with that, or is that just like in the most extreme circumstances where that happens?
Well, I moved far away, but no, it's not. It's not an extreme circumstance because of the ruling on it. Every apostate deserves death. Like that's it. And it's unlikely that you'd be killed in the U.S., but it depends on where you live and what kind of community you live in. Like if I lived in Dearborn, Michigan, or I lived in San Diego, I wouldn't trust that I wouldn't be killed. I'd move away.
Jesus.
I moved out of the area that I was living in for 10 years before I went within 50 miles of it again. Because my very best friend, who is also an American Muslim convert, flat out told me if I wouldn't do time for the rest of my life, I'd gut you like a fish and cut your head off and stick it on a pike.
Jesus.
Just said it straight to my face. She was not even fucking around. It was fucking cold. And it's just that's what it is kind of attitude about it. It's not even like nobody feels sorry for it. Nobody's upset by it really. It's just that's what it is because that's what you've been taught. That's what you know. That's what you think is best. So you don't question it.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's the thing that I think is ignored because, like, in the research I do in regards to cults, like, well, even Scientology, which I view as like worse than the Jehovah's Witnesses, but none of them have the death factor. That's the difference.
Oh,
here.
yes,
like,
they do, man. Haven't you heard about that room they take them to, man? Well,
yeah.
Not the death factor. They like pour ice. What bastard? If you haven't looked into it,
no, they have a prison. Yeah, I mean that's true. They do have a prison.
They do like the Stanford prison test with Zimbardo. They do that style and worse level shit. Anyway. Yeah,
no,
man,
they like hid the wife of the leader or some shit. They
Yeah,
definitely
Miss
have.
Where
Cabbage.
is she?
Who
Where is
knows?
she?
Miss Cabbage, who
Oh, who the
knows?
fuck knows?
He's gone. That's what I'm saying. So before you say there is definitely no death, I would humbly say, whoa.
Okay, there's a little bit of death, but
Well,
like,
I
Okay,
feel
all right.
like they're more a PR death. Like they don't want anybody disparaging their religion or
Like a
letting
Clinton
out the
death. It's like a
secrets of
Clinton-
it. It's not like an honor
I'm sorry,
thing.
okay.
It's more of a like, they're gone, so now they know all our secrets, and we don't want any of that getting out because
Damn right.
like they'll follow you around. Like the Scientologists will follow you around if you're
I got
vocal.
family
But
in that cult.
still, that's different than a fucking
It
fatwa.
is.
Like that is
That is
like,
different, yes.
and that's why I think you have to. It might sound extreme, but when I say I think Islam's a death cult, I do think there's something to that. I just find it crazy that with
It's a
all
sex
of
death cult.
say that again.
It's a sex and death cult. That's what it is.
That's what it is.
Sex and death cult. Interesting.
It's
Man, I hope
actually
you're
more of like a
strong on that.
political ideology pretending to be a religion. I guess.
So So you
hard
would
to
say,
explain.
that's the thing. Like there's no separation of church and state. Like I was saying before,
I
their
don't know.
their religion is very like totally entwined with politicism. It is the state is based on Islam. There's no distinction.
so let me
Exactly.
clarify something here. So you would agree then with what I'm not sure if you're aware of like what General Flynn, I think it was Flynn, when he was talking about Islam being a religion or masquerading as a religion, but it was actually a political movement. You would agree
Oh,
with
you
that?
mean General Mattis?
Oh, was it Mattis that said that?
I think it
believe
was
so.
Flynn, but it doesn't matter. I agree. I just answered
But
that.
the
that's a good
sentiment, you
question.
agree with the sentiment?
Yes.
Interesting.
It's
So
absolutely-
ex-Muslim agrees with
don't.
that. That's so it. See, and if you were to say that on CNN, they would
Oh man.
light their hair on fire.
Hey, listen, folks, before we get carried away, look, we're going to do this at the end. So we got about, if we can give another half hour and y'all can entertain me, because I know it's information, folks, and we're going to give enough information the way we're doing it. But if we could hammer out at least one more round, and it would be cool if we could go 2 more rounds with everyone giving their ideas starting. We know the order, so I don't have to say it again. Man, could we do that, folks? And if not, I'll shut up
Yeah,
and we'll
that's
just,
fine. That's fine.
girls,
Yeah.
Someone
okay, because we got to have a quorum. We got to have an agreement, man. I'm nobody's boss. In fact, I work
I was
for
just
somebody
talking
here.
about myself.
Hey, okay, so look, I just want to say something before we start. Thank you again so much, everybody. I'm trying to get a hold of you, Chi-Town Jay. He says he loves you, bastard. If you got a
Oh,
specific
what's up?
question, get that question into right here, brother, and I will give it to him before the end of this thing.
Sure.
That said, we'd like to thank everybody once again for coming into the grand embrace of America and joining 3 truly American minds that meet up with one insane maniac. So here we go. Hard bastard, would you kick us off again?
Sure. I was looking on YouTube, and if you go to YouTube right now and you type in call to prayer protest, there's several videos of like left-wing protests that just recently happened where they stop in the middle of it and they do the call to prayer, which if you were to for example, like if you were to have a priest up there with the fucking chain, you know, they have like that ball that smokes on the chain and shit, people would be outraged. They'd say, get that guy the fuck off there. But for some reason right now, they're just completely okay with a call to prayer. And I don't think it's an accident that it's consistently starting to happen. And I think that like with the research I've been doing in regards to, I think they call it Marana, which is like Islam or a Muslim kind of, how would I describe it? Blending in with the West. So you might,
Maruna.
yeah. So you might like, you know, not necessarily, you might shave your beard, you might act more Western, but the goal is to kind of promote Islam. It's like, all right, when I was in a cult, there was this term that would allow lying. You were allowed to lie as long as it promoted the agenda of the cult.
Mama.
So in the cult, it was called theocratic warfare strategy. So what that was is like one of the worst things about the Jehovah's Witnesses is that they'll allow their children to die rather than accept a blood transfusion. So if a person were to ask you, if a non-witness asked you, isn't it true that you allow your children to die instead of take blood transfusion? Obviously, the honest question or the honest answer to that is yes. However, you're allowed to lie since it promotes the cult and makes the cult look better, because you look crazy if you say, oh yeah, we will allow our children to die.
Oh,
so
yeah.
you can use theocratic warfare strategy to say some like legalese bullshit like, oh, we want the best medical care for our children. And it's outrageous that you would think that we don't want the best medical care. So with Islam, it seems like there's like 4 levels of this shit. There's, I don't know how to pronounce it. Marana, is that what you said?
Maruna.
Okay, Maruna. And that's more of like blending in, which it seems like it's the kind of shit Linda Sarsour is doing with like the feminist movement, trying to act like you can be a Muslim and a feminist. And then you have, I think, something called taqiyya, which is another, I guess, form of like righteous lying, I guess you would call it. Then there's kitman. Go ahead.
Taqiyya is saying something isn't true that you know is true.
Right.
Like when people say, well, what about Aisha? She was, 6 years old when she was married to Muhammad. And you go, oh, no, that's not what happened. I've heard people say that she was 18, that she was a giant. So she was very advanced for her age, that due to the environment, girls that hit puberty much earlier, she was illiterate, therefore she didn't know how old she was.
Right.
They use a different calendar, and there's like a million, it's that kind of thing. That's more like taqiyya. But then there's kitman, which is just not telling someone part of it.
Like hiding information?
Yeah, like when they tell the story of, Muhammad was praying and this woman dumped trash on him, and he didn't get up from his prayer to go after her, except they don't tell you the rest of that story where he had her killed.
Right.
Then there's tawriya, which is intentionally creating a false image, which is closer to what Linda Sarsour is doing. She's trying to make the face of Islam look like it's more Western and more acceptable than it is. So it's not really even Maruna, it's more like tawriya.
Right. So you have like really 4 levels of this.
Yes.
And I forget, I think it was a Tree of Life video, and she was saying like, I don't know if I'm at this point yet, but her point, I think, she's pretty much like no bullshit. She's like finished 100% with Muslims, I get the impression. But her point was, and I think it's an interesting discussion to have, is like, how would you truly know if you're talking to a Muslim, if what they're saying, even if they seem cool as shit, how would you know that they're not employing one of these tactics? And that's a good question. And I don't have an answer to that. I don't know how you would figure that out.
No way of knowing, brother.
Yeah.
That would be like asking, how do you know who in the church would be the one that would tell the elders that you didn't do your 10 hours a week? How would you know that?
Right, exactly.
And I don't want to get off the rails on that, but I do have one question for you, bastard.
Yeah, sure.
This comes from the Britisher.
Yeah.
And it's actually to the entire panel. How would any one of us or all of us differentiate between a cult and religion? Could we even make a disconnect between? Is there any religion? There you go. What's the difference?
I would say that you should compare it to either, like, whatever religion that you're comparing to. I would either look up the International Cultic Studies Association and their list, or you can look up Stephen Hassan has a BITE model, a BITE model. And I would say that if you're in a religion that is doing things like making you feel guilty about simple things, like things that you're supposed to enjoy in life, whether it's movies or television or music or who you fuck or any of these things, if they are using like fear and guilt, you should probably look into it.
But listen, I should probably let one of the girls speak, but let me give the definition, because I don't want to make anybody look stupid by breaking this out afterwards, bastard anybody else. But the definition of a cult is a system of religion and devotion directed toward a particular figure or object. So if you have an object or a figure or an ideal or a dogma, so if you think about it, the definition, you can't say there is a difference. But that said, and I'd like to throw this to the girls right after this. In fact, Day is dead. I know I can see you over there, girl. I know you're grinding. You got something profound coming up. But
I don't.
I can't think of it. And I go to a church every Sabbath. But they're freaking cult members, folks, and I'm one of them. I can't even lie to you. I'm one of them.
Well, cult as the definition and not the colloquial term is going to be a little bit misleading in our context.
Yeah.
When it comes to cults, I would put it like people in the chat have mentioned, and I've mentioned this in videos too. I would say you can walk away from a religion and nobody gives a shit.
Yes.
And a cult is where you're going to be ostracized, shunned, and face, potentially deadly penalties for leaving it.
So we could almost make a qualifier and say dangerous cult. So we're talking about, because you even said death cult and sex cult. So there are different kinds of cults is what we're trying to say.
Well, any belief or following of any person or object or deity or whatever can become a cult under a very open definition, like the one you just read. But I think for our purposes, it's probably better to define it as something that you can't readily leave of your own volition without facing quite a bit of backlash.
I couldn't agree more myself.
Yeah, that's a good standard. I would agree with that.
Day, you got anything over there? Or we just want to bounce it on to Base Mama for her first point of this first round.
No, I think Base should go. She seems to have
rock and roll, sweetie.
Very interested.
Oh God, I don't even know what I'm talking about right now.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay,
that's all right. Because
well,
it can go to either. Because I've got something right now, and whatever can go whatever round. Go ahead, Day.
Oh, I think there is a great deal of ramifications for anybody who wants to leave Islam. It's an extremely dangerous opinion to have, and depending on where you are in the Middle East, or even just depending on the type of, that's also the thing. There's a lot of different types or variations of Islam, maybe not the types, and they all have the Quran as the base for it, but there's a lot of different interpretations depending on your geographical location. I know that some people growing up in, like, I was researching and I found that some dude who grew up in Turkey, and he had this translation that was like the peaceful translation of the Quran, and it was actually when he was in America that he read just a different translation of the same Quran, and it had all the violent stuff in it. So they like filtered out somehow all the good stuff and kind of just negated the bad stuff. And if you read the Quran in its entirety, which I haven't, but has anybody watched the Quran Reloaded, actually? That is awesome.
Are they the same guys that do Bible Reloaded?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're fucking
love
awesome.
Those guys.
Absolutely.
So I've been like learning about the Quran for them. And it gets complicated because there's all the hadiths, there's all the things that are tacked on, and they're also, between the Sunni and Shia and the other one, I forget what it is, the hadiths differ as well. So it's very complicated. And I forget where I was going with this. Help me out here.
Okay. You're doing good.
There are levels of hadith.
Yeah.
There is
there's like direct from Muhammad in his life, and then there's like interpretations of what he's saying. If that is that right, Base Mama?
Well, there are degrees. You have the most trusted would be like Sahih al-Bukhari. If anybody's looking into it. If you really want to like get down on the dirty on Sharia law, I would suggest picking up a book called Reliance of the Traveler.
I'm writing it down.
I got that written down, Mama. You told me that. I've got it written down right here on a card. I'm actually going to show it. If I can find it. Yes.
This is when I was Muslim, the Imam that we had, that was his go-to book, because no matter what anybody says, if you have a mosque and you have an imam, you have a Sharia court. That is what's happening there, because they're able to make fatwas. Fatwa just means a ruling on something or a decision according to the hadith and the Quran. And
to me, it means death sentence, so it means something more. It's different. It's like you said. It's like a bench warrant.
No, not really. It's they can make declarations or make a ruling on some issue in Sharia. So like if you get divorced, the Sufi are not peaceful. That's no. Anyway, if you get divorced or something, an imam will make a fatwa and that declares you divorced. So it's any kind of ruling. So a fatwa, like when we think about it from the West, it's like the fatwa on Salman Rushdie, right?
Right. Yeah. The satanic verses. Yes.
Yeah, it's sort of because Sharia is so all-encompassing. It's everything from what to do with your fingernails after you trim them, all the way up to killing people who leave their religion.
Have you heard that, hard bastard?
everything.
What to do with your fingernail trimmings? You're shitting me.
No, I haven't heard that, but you lived it, so I will defer to you on the fingernail shit.
But there is a rule that they enforce on what to do with your fingernail trimmings.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah,
You can't
and
throw them out. You
also-
have to flush them down the toilet or bury them.
Oh
And your
wow!
hair too.
That is
When you cut your hair.
And also with the Sharia law, isn't like Sharia law is like the law of God or Allah, and isn't it like the adherence to it? The rules of the fatwa and the fiqh is the carrying out of like maybe punishment. Is that
Jurisprudence. Yeah.
yeah?
Yes, the fiqh is how the law is applied.
Yeah. So the
all right.
fatwa is like the law.
Yeah,
There's-
and it's based on the hadith, the sunnah, and ultimately it always goes back to the Quran, which you were
Yeah.
smart to point out. Everything has to be in accordance with the Quran or a ruling on from a scholar. So there is no personal interpretation in Islam. Like you can't
Right.
pick and choose. You can't go, well, I like this, but I don't like that, and toss it out. And that's kind of when people are like, well, Islam has had reformation. No, it hasn't. The
Yeah,
society
that's the
has had
hard part.
reformation. The religion has not. They basically cherry-picked what they want, but there will always be a regression to the mean. When you have any kind of social advancement, you will always have hardliners who come in and say, no, you can't do it like this. You have to apply Sharia. And because they all believe that this is the ultimate truth, they really don't have anything to stand up against. They don't have in their world, they don't have a leg to stand on to argue against this.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's no recourse for reformation because it's either all or nothing, I feel. And I don't know what changed in Christianity where that became like a thing that was cool, where like no Christian in America is actually like
Well, it's
following.
in scripture.
Yeah.
Well, you got the Westboro Baptist Church. We always got to make that disclaimer for the fucking morons. And you got
Those
the
people are
morons,
not
and you got
Christian.
the.
I'm not even Christian. They are not Christian. They are crazy
they're not
people.
Christian.
They are not Christian.
See,
They're
that's
nuts,
what
man.
and that leads me into something.
They would
I
argue
wanna-
otherwise, though.
I know it's day. I think it's Dave's turn to wrap up, but I want to get into. I got something to read because this is so poignant. I believe that, and I don't know. We can extrapolate later what it is that we're collectively saying. But right now, I can really feel that it's reformation because Heaven's Gate. Does everybody know who they are? The Kool-Aid and
course,
wear the
yes,
Nikes.
absolutely.
Heaven's Gate, Applewhite. You can't reform that kind of crazy. But
No.
we have to come to the realization that the good book that I read it every day. I read it like I read Sun Tzu's Art of War. I read that book every day of my life. I could tell you I'm not going to bore you with that. But I know Sun Tzu's Art of War from front to back. I know every word of it. Why? Because I want to make it through this life as happy, as healthy, as strong, and I want things to be good for me. That said, it's reformation. So can I have just 1 second more? And I want to read this. And then, Day, if I cut you off, I'll go to you. And then before we go to the hard bastard, and we'll see if we can go through another round because that was really good. Has
You didn't
anybody
cut me off.
Oh, I wasn't sure. I know that we were getting deep there, and I could see that
No,
we'd
we're
go
just
for about
talking.
3 hours if I didn't say something. I want to go through one more round because I don't know about myself, but so far everyone here has really, in my mind, brought something to the table, and I'm learning something. I'm seeing that this is a conversation. It's not a point. It's not something that we can come to a final decision, a quorum on, if you will, a consensus. It's something that is an ongoing conversation that could change it. You know what? I believe that the Islamic people, the Muslims, they could be the next great Renaissance, but not the way they're going, because the imams, however you want to say it, potato, they are still actively saying, dude, but let me read this to you real quick before I just, diarrhea of the mouth and then I never get to it. Has anybody ever heard of Jerome?
Yeah.
or Huss or Zwingli. I know you
Ever.
have, Bastard. I don't doubt that. These are all reformers. And it's amazing to me that when it comes down to it, what tells you the difference between a patriot and a revolutionary is a patriot will say, I regret that I only have one life to give for my country, and die with a grimace on their face. And with all respect, a revolutionary, they try to put you online and get you in touch with their bank in Zurich so they can get out of it. Because the coward Che Guevara was a punk that said Negros should be shot, should be used for target practice. And now I'm running off of the mouth, so I'm going to sum up instead of read this because I don't want to be. But when Jerome went to the stake, because his idol Huss went before him, if I got the name correct, Hard Bastard might correct me. I believe it was Huss, and he was in prison because he said, "I will retract what I said," which was just saying that the Catholic Church was God and could torture and murder and cause taxes, and if the priest liked your wife or liked your little boy, he could diddle him and ruin you and take your property. It was all theirs. The kings bowed to him. When it come Jerome's time, he said, you know what? I give up. But then they put him in prison and tortured him. After that year, he came out of prison and he said, because of my forefathers that have begun this Reformation, put me on the stake. You put me in prison. You wouldn't let me have my letters. You wouldn't let me see anyone. No one came to visit me, but they were there. You just wouldn't let them in. And when they put him at the stake, because I'm wrapping this up, putting a bow on it, folks. I know it's getting close to 4 minutes probably. But when they went and put him on the stake, he said, don't take the faggots, which is a bundle of sticks on fire behind me where I can't see them. He said, you bring that bundle of sticks right here in front of me and put them where I can see the flame. Kindle the flame in mine face, he said. And he died singing hymns. You don't have to believe in that cult, because to me, the cult I belong to is just as crazy as the Muslims. It's just as crazy as the Jehovah's Witnesses. It's just as crazy as the I could go on. What the difference is we had people stand up, as the Brits did, as the Americans did, in a secular way, folks. The Reformation was a secular thing. Look into it. That said, I'm done. Look into the reformers and see what they did. And until you see an imam saying, screw it, let them shoot me in front of a weird flag with some guy in black and cut me into, I've seen stuff that would make a billy goat shit himself. No one could watch. And there's people standing around like it's normal life. Now, Base Mama will probably bust my balls when it's her turn. That's the end of mine. There's a bow on it. Hard Bastard, what do you think about that?
I think overall we have a very toxic stew of bullshit, because you have a religion that's in desperate need of reform, that when they're not reforming, they're actually putting all of us in danger. Obviously, it's still the likelihood of getting killed in a terrorist attack is still small, but you have that, and then you have the left's complete inability to even acknowledge that there's a problem. And I think you can also throw in immigration here, because there's also the issue of, like, when I'm watching these videos of the ex-Muslims, you do have people who have woken the fuck up, whether it's in Saudi Arabia or Iran, that are like, wow, this culture and environment is fucking crazy. I need to get the fuck out of here. And if we, at least just for the sake of argument, let's say, even if we don't agree with it, for the sake of argument, if you have a country that you live in that agrees to take in refugees, let's just say that's the case. Those, I would imagine, would be the ones that you want. The people that understand that their country is insane and they like America because it's free and they want to be free just like the rest of us. But we're in a point now where to even dare suggest that Islam is even slightly unreasonable, you're immediately labeled a racist. And so unless there's some sort of break at some point, I really don't know how this problem gets solved. And I also think, we didn't really get a chance to cover it, but there's a lot of Muslims who are also in agreement that there's a lot of shit that they agree with and they want to reform, but they kind of get it from both ends, because you have the people who are suspicious of them because of the terrorism issue. So I just don't really see how this resolves, unless, maybe I'm thinking very grand here, but if Trump can somehow get something done, I mean, it's well, here's the thing. It's fucked up that that's like our only really, I mean, what other possible option is there? And I realize that that's crazy as far as like, this is fucking Trump, right? But what other...
Like the bastard, it's like we got every fucking dime of our whole fucking life, and it's the hard way, man. It's fucking ate the hard way, baby. We're in Vegas. The fucking hard bastard's whole fucking house, his life, his wife, his dog, his kids, and
I'm not married.
Come on, fours. Sorry.
No, I'm not married. But, you know, like, it's fucked up that we're in a situation where, like, our almost, I mean, unless anyone else has, like, a legitimate possible, like, way that this could possibly get resolved, that we're looking to fucking Donald Trump. It's a bad fucking situation.
Man, God's sake, you're right, brother. Sorry, that was a blow of reality. I don't know why it's stuck on me. Go to somebody else. I didn't mean to interject. What you're saying.
No, that's it.
I was for Trump from the beginning. So you're done. I need to shut up. It's base, Mama. What you got for me, Mama?
Hey, are we talking about Trump?
No. If I
fucking love Trump, and he is the opposite of Hitchens' razor. Anything you think might be stupidity, I think you should consider it strategy.
For those that might be listening and don't know what Hitchens' razor is, would you just give a short, like, you know?
Do not attribute to malice what can easily be explained by stupidity.
Yes.
I think you should invert that, because he didn't get where he is by being a dumbass. And
I love Hitchens.
He is absolutely fucking raping the deep state right now, and I am not even a little bit sad about it. So sorry.
Yeah, no, I agree.
If he does nothing else but expose the bullshit, I'm fine with him. I've been really like super duper anti-war like my whole life, and Obama went around drone striking the fuck out of like everybody, and nobody said anything. It was all quiet on the home front.
No shit.
And I'm like, there's a fucking war with Yemen going on. What? Really? Yes. And nobody heard a thing about it until it happened under Trump.
If Trump starts drone striking, bastard, you better be having fucking pieces on that, or I'll call you.
Oh yeah, fuck that. I was hard on Obama.
Yeah, man, because that was just crazy.
He did actually, in a continuation of the policies already set in place. They were, showing this little Yemeni girl going, look, yeah. Trump's bombs killed this little girl. And I was like, yeah, you know what? Obama's bombs killed her brother.
No, they need to stop drone strikes.
It literally killed her brother. Like, yeah. That's not being hyperbolic at all. He literally died from one of Obama's bombs. But nobody said anything about that. Now we're going to talk about it. So I've been, I've been trolling the fuck out of CNN.
Oh, CNN is the fucking worst.
I just like calling them out.
Worse.
Fun. But nobody wanted to say anything. Well, nobody wanted to say anything to him because he was our first black president. And even if you did raise an issue, it was, well, you're racist because you're criticizing Obama. I'm sorry, yay, he's our first black president. He's still a fucking piece of shit.
Yeah.
He still went around like 100,000 bombs in his tenure and 20,000 of them in 2016 alone. It's like, what the fuck? Every country that has requested our help because they are our ally or they are very much under repression has not gotten our help in favor of destabilizing countries that we have no fucking business being in, by the way, and basically doing a divide and conquer strategy where we bust up the society, let them all kill each other. And we do the same thing we've been doing for 40 years, invade their country and take all their shit. And that's what it is. I mean, that's, if you look at the Iraq war, that's exactly what happened. Go in, trash the fucking place, and then start handing out exploratory contracts for different companies all over, Europe, the U.S., even China. I mean,
it's fucking true too. It's what's so sick.
And now they're gunning for war with Russia, and I'm like, "Fuck you guys! I ain't even trying to get into it with Putin."
Is Trump gonna? Because you remember in his press conference, he was like, "Well, they buzzed the ship, and I know you fuckers want." I think he's steering away from it. But do you feel like he's even gonna go? Do you think they took him into the room and showed him the Magruder film from the fucking angle where you could see the dude that blew the motherfucker's brains out?
I don't think so. I think what's happening is that they're pushing I mean, a Cold War with us and Russia would bolster both economies to an unbelievable degree. The problem is they don't give a shit about the people.
No.
Like, think about every war we've been in the past 30 years. Did any, apart from the Iraq war, which, honestly, we went on bad information. So since maybe Desert Storm, where we actually got, a distress call from Kuwait, has there ever been a war where the people were like, yeah, let's go to war?
No.
No. And the war in Syria was so roundly despised that Obama had to go in by proxy to have that war and completely circumvent Congress.
And it was all bullshit. Gulf of Tonkin was bullshit. The fucking attack on Pearl Harbor, they knew about it. The Lusitania being sunk was bullshit. Motherfucking Woodrow Wilson saying, I kept us out of war, and then signing the motherfucking bank into law. I mean, Andrew Jackson's dying words were, I killed the bank. And so if we were real Americans in 1913 when Woodrow Wilson signed that bill, and then immediately, Base Mama, from what you're saying, exactly what you're saying, for the reason to make money, went to war after he ran on we kept us out of war, the American people should have rose up and done what that I can't say right now.
Exactly. But we've been doing this for a long time, and war is sort of the endless moneymaker. You're never going to run out of people to kill. You're never going to run out of people that you can apply a great deal of sophistry and get them emotionally invested in whatever bullshit you're spilling and telling them to go kill people, because that's what they do. I mean, we've been doing it for a long time, but it is very, very profitable for those few people who are invested in these larger companies, and they don't care. I mean, they really don't care if they kill everybody. They don't.
Well, look, I got off in the weeds with you too.
People.
I just gave up. I forfeited my last thing to say because I just did all that. But so let me just say this. I know that you're pertaining this to Islam.
Well, no, this is the reason that we support Saudi Arabia against Yemen. Yemen is a tiny, extraordinarily poor country that has no real way to defend itself whatsoever, but we're stocking Saudi Arabia with everything. They could nuke them off the fucking planet. And the reason is because they hold 2 different ports from which Saudi Arabia, if it had access to, could move about a third more oil than they already move.
Damn.
So they are basically destroying this country, not just because they have their own Kaaba, which Saudis hate the Yemenis because they have their...
Come on, girl. I don't know all those words.
The black box in Mecca.
Oh, okay, you're right.
Black stone. Okay, Yemen has its own of that, and they have always hated them for that. But this is a war for money. The Yemen war, they're doing this for money. So they see the same pictures that you and I see of starving children who want to be helped, who need to be helped. They know doctors are fleeing the country because they can't live there, they can't have a hospital there, they can't do anything there. They don't care, okay? They are willing to kill these people to get to those ports to move oil. They really don't care about the people. And that's why when people with the Muslim ban thing, well, why, it's because Trump has business ties in Saudi Arabia. No, it's not. It's because we've been working with them for over 2 decades.
What was the movie with George Clooney? It was about the oil thing where they bomb people with drones. What was
Syriana.
that? Syriana. I was going to say Smyrna for some reason. That's a drone I fly as a Smyrna. But I mean, Mama, is that to you and your experience? Because I think you got some kind of deep experience that you may or may not be able to share on air right now. But in your experience, is that Syriana kind of thing? Is that a real deal?
I actually haven't seen that. It wouldn't surprise me if it is, though. I mean, as bad as you think it is, it's 10 times worse than that.
Well, in other words, let me just put it to you this way. Bastard, could you sum that up, like what they were doing in that, how they were using drones and killing, in the name of companies or whatever?
Oh, I didn't see it. I just knew the name of the movie.
Oh, okay. Well, it was basically like the East India Tea Company. I don't even know if the British are still on there. I gave up trying to be here and look over there, too. But it was kind of that situation where it was a private company, but they were acting under the power and authority of the state. And then, so in other words, America is drones, USA, whatever, is drone striking freaking targets based on Exxon.
Oh, that's some shit.
That wouldn't. That makes sense. I mean, it would get them out of the way.
All right.
And
Well,
you
and
have to
again,
stop thinking in terms of you know, you have to stop looking at it like people have some kind of like inherent value because they're alive. They don't think of things like that. You are absolutely disposable.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it is.
Well, Base Mama, that was badass. Day is dead. You've been sitting there rifling through papers, and I know you took it straight. Listen, folks, this girl, you think she's just hot? Some girls are hot and they're nerds too. She's actually a nerd that turned out to where she's smoking hot. So praise God for you. But Day is dead. You probably got something profound to say. If you do, say it.
Well, I was listening, and I agree a ton with Base Mama about, you know, the hypocrisy of the Obama administration versus, you know, the Republican administrations in our recent past and our current state. So I agree with that totally, but that got me to thinking about how, you know, liberalisms used to, especially like the feminists and the SJWs, have gone from, you know, denouncing Islam for their subjugation of women, and now there's this new thing where if you criticize anything about Islam, you're called as an Islamophobe. And I just find that incredibly, you know, there's so much hypocrisy in that, because they're supposed to be extremely progressive and all about women's rights, and then they support this religion that is diametrically opposed to that. So I'm just wondering if anybody has any opinions on that.
On the drive, well, I've said a lot. I'm going to throw that to the hard bastard of Base Mama.
I would say, like, as far as that they even go to the point where they're, I think, whether it's inadvertent or not, exploiting actual victims of, I guess, what you would call a patriarchy. I mean, they claim a patriarchy exists in the U.S. I would call bullshit on that. But in regards to all of the women in Saudi Arabia, all of the women in the Muslim countries, I mean, you had Anita Sarkeesian and Zoe Quinn get the platform to be able to go to the United Nations and talk about women's issues. And you know what, like,
girls are laughing at that.
Let's say I even give them that you can take a small portion of your time to talk about your Twitter bullshit, your first world bullshit. That's fine. But they didn't even take a segment to talk about any of the actual oppressed women. And I think that whether they realize it or not, they're oppressing and exploiting those women. And that's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. And they view you as a bigot these days if you are.
Absolutely.
And it's like some of the most bigoted people I know are militant SJWs, and especially intersectional feminism, I feel has been a big regression for people as a whole, especially in the Western world. I feel like we are beyond a lot of these things, and now they're all coming back in a different veil covering it. But it's just incredible to me that we can support a religion that has all these atrocities, you know, along with it, and say that if you don't support them, that you're a bigot.
A phobe. And as a psychologist, as somebody that has a degree in psychology, I have to say this. Phobia, look it up. Don't let them news speak you. People out there, wake up, wake up. It's fucking wake up. It's 2017. You got Google. You can find this shit out yourself. But a phobia is an irrational fear. I'm sorry, I just wanted to interject that, Day. And if who has an irrational fear of Muslims? It's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, well, I feel like a lot of Americans hear the word Muslim, and the first thing they think of is extremism. There are moderate Muslims, but not really in the Middle East. I mean, I feel like they're
not in Dearborn, Michigan either.
Yeah, and like I said, Islam is a religion where it's not as common to be a moderate. And if you are a moderate, you're kind of shit in their eyes because you're not going with the religion.
Yeah, you're haram, right? That's what it would be. It would be haram.
Yeah, it is. So, like, the ones who actually follow the religion, and even some of the extremists, it depends on if it's, what is it, like the Mecca period versus the Medina period, where he kind of, like, went more crazy, Muhammad did. based referring to you because you know about this shit more than I do.
The Meccan years versus the Medinian years. Yes.
Yeah, and it seems like at the beginning he was more open, and correct me if I'm wrong, but he was more open, but I feel like it was kind of because it wasn't really a religion yet, and he was trying to recruit more people to it, and then he switched, he like flipped the switch and like made it his real opinions laid out. So I feel like so it's a very complex issue, and if you want to get down into it, a lot of Americans just think about the extremists, but there's a lot going into it. There's a lot in this religion. Like with Christians, it's either moderate Christian or Westboro Baptist Church, basically. And
but there's only 90 of them, so we can say there's a few. But I'm glad you mentioned these dumb some bitches. Hey, listen. We're getting close to. And listen, Bastard, hold that for one second.
Sure.
We're getting so close to being where. What I would like to do is this, Bastard. If you'll open us up with whatever idea you got hung in the back of your mind hook right now, and then Day, if you will either jump off of what he said or give a following statement, and then Mama, what I'd really like to do, because there's the most people watching us right now since we started, I don't want to leave them hanging, and we'll see if anybody's got to buzz off, they can, but we've been covering heavy topics, we can all agree that. So Mama, when you do your final statement about what, I don't even know what it is, but I know it's going to be good, would you then carry us into maybe a lighter topic like what Justin Bieber did last week, or what TMZ said, or what? I don't even care what kind of.
Just surprised me in finding out that he's still alive and hasn't, in fact, OD'd.
Yeah, but if we could do that, and I really do believe that I've used up my time by interjecting, so I may have one final word that will I say 30 seconds, but for me that means a minute and a half. So if y'all agree to that, do we have a quorum on that?
Yeah.
All right, so Bastard, why don't you go ahead and take it away? And before you do, I just want to thank everybody once again. I see to some people like Sargon of Akkad cuts a fart, and there's 2,000 people there with cameras to say what it smelled like. But we sure do appreciate every last one of you there that are hanging in. And so that said, come on, Bastard, tell us what you know, brother.
So I was thinking, like, as far as previously talking about like haram Muslims, and what I thought was interesting was when Tree of Life got her video removed for a hate speech strike, which I thought was bullshit. Even
Tree of Logic, she will find me and kill me if I let you keep doing that.
Tree of Logic. That even if you disagree with what she said, it's still bullshit that happened. But what I thought was interesting is that there seemed to be a decent amount of reasonable people that said that they disagreed with her, which is fine. But one of the things that I wondered is, because she's very like no bullshit, as raw as fucking possible, and I was curious if one of the reasons people disagreed was because when they heard her speak, when they heard her say that the people blowing shit up in Paris were, quote, good Muslims, I was wondering if the confusion is that they were the people that disagreed with her were judging those Muslims based on their own Western values. Obviously, we would view Muslims blowing shit up as bad Muslims. However, according to the doctor, and I think what her point was, is those were actually good Muslims, because as we were just talking previously, the cool Muslims, the Muslims you might smoke weed with, that they might be feeling guilty about it. In our minds, those are the good Muslims, the moderate Muslims, the cool Muslims. But according to the doctrine, they're actually haram. And I was just curious as far as like, because it seemed like a decent amount of people were disagreeing with her. And I don't know. I wondered if they were like thinking at it from our perspective as Westerners rather than from the doctrinal perspective.
Do you want to mention some about that, Base Mama, not even counting to your next statement? Do you want to add to that?
No, she was absolutely right. It's, a good Muslim is the one who dies for Allah. Every Muslim is called to be a mujahideen.
Man.
So, sorry.
Nope, that's kind of what I thought. I mean,
that's what I thought too. Yep.
Okay. So, all right.
I mean, you read the text, that's where it's going to lead you.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's what it is.
Well, put a point on this pencil, Bastard. Give us your final thought right here, and I'm going to pass it on to the next person.
You say B?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much my final thought.
Okay. Just want to make sure you had your say and then some. So
yeah,
come on, Day, tell us what you know.
Hold on, I was muted. I know I learned a lot from this conversation. It's been very interesting. I don't really have a final thought. I'm still confused as fuck. Basically, I went into this with a lot of thoughts on my mind. It's a very complex issue, like I said, and it's still a complex issue. And I don't know how to reconcile Reformation in this faith because it's opposed to it in every sense. And I don't know what we do. We're all fucked. That's it. The end.
Day is dead. Day is dead said you might as well put your head between your legs and kiss your sweet asshole goodbye.
Drink bleach, everybody.
Oh, man, that was pretty good. All right, Base Mama, let us know what you...
Okay. Here's a little advice from the Prophet Muhammad to you. Okay, if a fly lands in your drink, don't just pick the fly out. Dip it all the way in and then pull it out, and then you can drink it, and you're totally cool, because on the left wing of the fly there is poison, but on the right wing of the fly there is the antidote.
Oh,
You're
that's
welcome.
some scientific shit. Yo, you should name the podcast "We're All Fucked" podcast.
Well, yeah,
Or
that's
live stream. Live stream.
Yes.
We're all fucked
right
live
now.
stream.
It's the consensus we've come to.
Yeah, I'm down with that. I'm going to write it down right now, boss. So Base Mom, I don't know if you got a lot more, but you just give us your final word, because as I said in the beginning, for people that jumped on, Base Mama has made some points tonight, and some people may have heard some things she said, and instead of me saying it, when I'm done saying what they may have concluded, I'm going to let her say it. Some people may have heard some things she said and thought, oh, she's absolutely in love with Islam and with Muslims, and she thinks they're absolutely right. Base Mama?
No, I'm an ex-Muslim. I left at great risk to myself and to my children, and I keep going, and I do what I do because I see what my daughter goes through and how she feels like she's alone, and I don't want other kids out there that are in her position to feel like they're alone and nobody understands what they're going through. And I actually do get a lot of messages from people who are secret ex-Muslims or secret atheists, and they are worried. They keep to themselves and they are afraid. But if you can just hang on so you can get to a point where you can dip out, then be prepared for it and run like a motherfucker the first chance you get. That's what I gotta say.
Somebody just asked me to show my tits. I can't believe it, but I'm going to do it.
Do it.
I'm going to do it. I mean, I can't
Kids are get the
believe
fuck out. Sorry.
You know what? And who is that? It's Max Burr says show tits now. And go ahead with the intelligent conversation while the
I don't know
fucking
if you
monkey
met your
dances
tits,
for
but
his
we're
public.
going with it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'm
Hey,
done
if
with
you don't go to my
conversation.
real
I just
channel
wanna
and
see this.
subscribe after this,
Yeah.
you suck.
That's right. You go to hell if you don't subscribe.
You got the tie on and everything.
Nipple and everything.
All right, there you go. That was fucking weird that you asked me, and so I'm just gonna show you gonna be weirdo on me. Ain't nobody got crazy on a
Yes.
motherfucker like me. All right, but anyway. So, Mama, I think we were gonna go to something less serious, and I don't know, and I'm not gonna just ask you on
Hey man,
air
you
right
just
now.
showed your tits, and I just. You want me to tell you how to avoid demonic possession?
Oh my goodness, I'm watching it over there. It's so stupid. Oh my.
I mean, if
Thank
you
you.
want to know, I'll
I
tell
would like
you.
to thank the Britisher for the wonderful scotch. Straight
I
from
want to
Scotland.
know.
Woo woo.
Yes.
The Britisher,
wanna
by
know.
the way, hot voice. Just saying.
I haven't heard his voice.
Oh,
Are you sub?
so let's jump off
No.
here and just go
Okay.
off from the
Oh,
most.
Oh, we're gonna after party. Okay, I'm down.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
down
yeah.
for that. And Hard Bastard, I don't know how long you got, but
Yeah, I got to
I'm
go
gonna let it
soon.
go.
Knock for a couple of minutes.
yeah. As soon as anybody's got to drop off, just give a holler and say, hey, I got to go, and we'll give you a chance to plug whatever it is that you need to plug for 30, 40 seconds, and we'll tag off as we got to. But the real conversation is over, folks. I just want to say once again, we really thank you. I had some thing about Reformation, but everybody can look it up, and I really appreciate the guests that came on tonight. It really was orchestrated by the Hard Bastard. I did my best to work to get these girls here, and they did their best to do their research. I hope that was obvious. We did our best to have fun, but also to bring you some information. And we hope that each and every one of you stops by, if you haven't already subscribed, to the Hard Bastard, to Based Mama, to Day is Dead. And I humbly say to myself, I don't care if you like my videos or whatever, but come and watch them and call me a cocksucker in the comments. I don't mind.
Can we put a
That's
link
it.
to our channels in the description?
Yeah, in fact, there'll be links to everybody's channel descriptions, and
Oh,
I'm
cool.
sure that each one of us will take this video and we'll chop it up in the way that we like, and we'll put it on our respective channels. And
Oh, I'll just mirror it. I'm too lazy
I
for
don't want
that.
to talk out of
Yeah, me
turn, but I
too.
do believe this will be the beginning of a really wonderful friendship. And we'll probably always keep it to 4 to 5 people, so it's not bedlam on this kind of serious format. But you never know. You might see the 4 of us back together again sometime.
The
in the
Raw
next month or so.
live stream. I like that. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote it down, boss. I wrote it down. Since I'm talking, I could put it up there. But yeah, I wrote that name down. It says right here. Look, I wrote it down for you, boss man. We're all fucking live stream.
There you go.
All right, but so let's continue, girls. What I want to know is, Day is dead. Can I ask you a
Yeah.
personal question?
Sure.
So you had fucking karaoke, girl. You said you played in a band.
Yeah.
I've been in blues bands for many years. I've been in many bands. I played in Saginaw, Michigan. I played in bars that Stevie Wonder has played in, and
yeah?
I've been. So what I'm going to ask you, young lady, is did you learn your fucking lesson?
My lesson? What? What are you talking about?
Well, I mean, how many times?
Oh, because I was hungover yesterday?
Yeah, how many times? Yeah, because
Oh.
if I've got to be serious, is how many times does a musician have to get hungover, shit faced because he got paid or her, and got paid and got all the free booze that they could drink before they
Well,
realize?
that's the thing. I get free beer at karaoke night, and I get drunk every Saturday, and Sunday's a wash for me. That's about it.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought that would spark some conversation. What do you do in your karaoke? Do you want to plug where you do it, or if you don't want to, that's
No,
cool too?
no, I don't want
No.
anybody to come see me ever. No.
Are we gonna go off air, or are we just gonna?
Oh, it's totally up to you. If you want to take off, take off. There's a few people
I'm just
still
saying
over
you
here.
have to stop broadcast, or it'll go on for 8 hours. I'm
Yeah,
just
I think
letting you
we're
know.
just
Even if
chilling
everybody
and
leaves,
actually
it'll just stay
still
there.
live
Why don't
streaming
you
now.
Oh no!
why don't you
I'll
ask
be
the
last
chat
one
if
out
they
now.
have any questions?
Okay, yeah,
Alright.
let's do that. Anybody got any questions?
No, I forgot to tell you that it will automatically keep going for 8 hours, even if you leave.
Oh no! I see the red button down here. I'll
Okay.
I'll be the last one. I'll cut
I've
the
had a
lights
lot
off.
of people fall asleep on live streams and had to listen to them snore for 6 hours because
No, I'm not going to do that. Believe me, that's not. I never sleep.
the chat says you're Ted Nugent.
Who, me?
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that I take that as an insult because he got so much poontang, but I don't like terrible Ted anymore. He's got I got a big mouth too. Maybe that's why I said it. Maybe it's because I'm a cocksucker. Is that what
Oh,
it is?
that was a massive hit.
What?
Ted Nugent
That was
cannot grow
massive.
an adequate beard.
No, he can. There's no way. Tell
I'm
us
just saying.
anything that you can share with us. Give us an anecdote, like something that happened to you at the cult that you were in. Something funny that was like so fucked up you
Who,
can't
me?
believe it. Yeah, you.
All right, let's see. Fucked up cult shit.
Yeah, like something that you just can't believe it happened, and people are gonna hear it and be like, "Holy shit!" When they come knock on my door, I'm slamming it.
Well, I mean, I think that they cover up child molestation. That's pretty fucked up. It's not funny, but it's like, yeah, if Jehovah's Witnesses come to your door, you can say, so tell me about the child molestation issue. They're going to give you some bullshit. Oh, we don't do that. That's all apostate lies. But no, they do it. They cover it up. That's one of the reasons I left, because I was like,
But have you ever been like in an office where they were asking you about how much you gave or how much time you spent, crusading or whatever? Have you ever been in there with some elders?
Yeah.
Where,
well, yeah, like I had position. I didn't reach elder. I reached ministerial servant, which is like right below elder. And like you have to hit certain quotas. And if you don't hit certain quotas, they get together with you and they, of course, all quote unquote voluntary. We're just here to encourage you to do better. And then, if you don't, you get your position and shit taken away. But yeah, overall, I would say that the deliberate covering up of child molestation and telling the victims that if they call the police, they'll be disfellowshipped is pretty much the main, that's, I
that
think,
too. That's kind of weird.
yeah, it's like, it's
They're very
basically
similar.
the Catholic Church, but just not on like as big of a scale, since there's way more Catholics than there are Jehovah's Witnesses.
What's strange to me is Day should get this, because even karaoke, when you're dealing with music and bands, it's so weird to me how similar it is when you're in a church situation with church people, and when you're in a band. It's like,
How is that similar at all?
I'm going to tell you how it's similar, because, hey, listen, what did the drummer get on his IQ test?
Oh, my boyfriend's a drummer.
Drool.
So-
He got drool on it. I'm a drummer too. I've heard all the jokes.
My boyfriend's extremely smart.
The drummer, I'll go. I can't tell you how many times I've been to go to band practice, and my drums were already broke down and outside the door, and there was a note there that says, "We really don't want to talk to you, dude."
Drummers are good at math.
And it's so church. That's what I mean. It's just kind of a weird. It's a cult-like environment. I don't know. I guess I can't get it out of my mind.
Nah, not the bands that I've been in. I've only been in one, and it lived very shortly. But I don't know. It can be like a power structure, but I don't think it's a cult at all. And there's people with delusions of grandeur in the band sometimes, but not really a cult. Oh, wait. Someone said, Day, I think you still worship Anna. It's beyond obvious. Oh, Anna from TYT. You fat fuck. I'm better than you. You know what? No. Anna is terrible. And
she's the worst person in the world.
Oh my god. I used to like TYT. Did anybody else?
Yeah, I used to like. That's why I do so many videos on him.
I've been a grown-up for a long time.
What?
I've been a grown-up for a long time.
So and that's what I'm saying. You know what, Base Mama, you and I believe are
too
to
old
the right.
for that.
We're kind of to the right of center, but we got two people there to left of center. I want to ask both of you because, Bastard, I know you've said that you feel like you've stayed the same place and the left has moved. Tell one of y'all explain that to me because I am a leftist. Everybody says I'm a conservative. I am a leftist. I believe in helping people. I believe in community. I believe in freedom to do what you want, where you want, when you want. I'm a liberal. So someone explain this shit to me, please, if you can.
I think this is some shit that like I'm in the middle of resolving, but I will say that, yeah, I'm still liberal, and all of these motherfuckers that went to the left and are supporting violence and all this bullshit, they went crazy. So I'm to the right of crazy, but yeah, I think
we can all be to the right of crazy.
Yeah, I think we're all to the right of crazy. And the other thing I'm trying to figure out is that like all of the Trump supporters, I don't know if they're all necessarily Republicans. Like the thing that I wonder is how many Trump supporters are just like the regular people who were like, these motherfuckers on the left are crazy. Hillary Clinton is a criminal. So I'm going to vote for Trump. You know what I mean? Like normal people. Exactly.
Well, I've always been an independent because I lean more libertarian. Like I don't really give a fuck what you're doing as long as you're not bothering anybody else.
Right.
I don't care. But when it comes to Trump or Clinton, I was like, really, fuckers, this is the best either of you could do.
Yeah,
and then the Libertarian Party throws a fucking Gary Johnson. Like, what the hell?
I'm like, talking about that on your live stream too, Gary Johnson. But you know what, Bastard? I'm going to press you on something that I heard you say.
Yeah, go ahead.
You mentioned in one of your videos that we should let all all drug offenders that are users free, but
non-violent.
Yes, nonviolent.
Yes. Okay,
but,
gotcha.
But then you said that, but we'd have to have a discussion about any drug dealers that were there. I want to have that discussion with you right now, sir.
I would say
nonviolent drug dealer sold heroin to a 21-year-old person that was going to buy it anyway. What should their punishment be?
See, that depends. The other problem is I'm probably not the most unbiased person with this because I used to sell drugs a long time ago. So I don't necessarily want to see these people completely hammered. But like, I guess what I'm really referring to are like, if there's people involved in like massive, I'll just give this quick anecdote. The reason I stopped selling drugs is because I realized that the neighborhood that I was involved in, I was contributing to its, I don't know what you would call it, like
detriment.
Yes, right, exactly. And when I realized that, I started to. When you sell drugs, once you get into like the coke phase, you either are a sociopath and you can continue doing it, or you have to realize that, like at some point, you have to make a decision to be violent. And if you're lucky enough to be able to leave, if you're not a sociopath, I generally think most people would leave. And so, I would say if you're a person who's heavily contributing to that and there's a chance that you may reoffend when you leave, that's what we should have a discussion about, I would say. Not the weed sellers.
Sense.
All weed is fucking cool. They can leave.
Oh,
I don't care about weed.
Yeah.
I live in a legal state too for anybody to see me smoking to something that doesn't look like a cigarette. But I want to hear also from the girls on that same
full
topic
fucking red state though, and we've had legal pot for a long time.
How do you feel about it? How do you feel about that? I mean, I want to know
Well,
from you too.
there's been an exodus going on for a while. Basically, about mid to late 90s, you had a lot of like crazy leftist professors talking their crazy shit, and that was a big turnoff for people. And then it started with the politically correct shit where you couldn't say Oriental anymore. Now you had to say Asian American, which doesn't differentiate between a Pakistani and a Vietnamese. So now you don't know what the fuck is going on, and it just confused the shit out of everybody and frustrated everybody because you couldn't be truthful or factual without pissing everybody off or having some like horrible backlash to just speaking the truth. Like, I can say a Vietnamese person is Vietnamese, but that's offensive now. Like, you can't say that. I don't know why. You have to say Asian or Asian American. Like,
Well, and
why?
didn't we get along
That just,
better
like,
when you could
erases
joke
them.
about it? Didn't we get along better when there was no N words?
Yeah, I don't think anybody cared. Like, I'm a big fan of Lenny Bruce.
Me too.
And the reason is because he believed in free speech to the point that he went to fucking jail so he could tell a joke that offended people. And he took a fucking stand because he was tired of that shit. And I think that the same appeal to Lenny Bruce is the same appeal that Trump had. Maybe he doesn't say stuff very well, but fuck you, he's going to say it anyway. And if you don't like it, stick it up your ass. And even if you don't agree with him,
Amen.
you like that he is clearing the way for everybody else to be able to speak their fucking mind.
Amen.
Yeah, I
And
like
for
that.
a
I
lot
like
of
that
people,
about
that's what it was.
Yeah.
He's a fucking snowplow through the snowflakes, man.
He's definitely shaking up the political world. I'll say that. Like, he is like no other president that has ever been elected. He
What do you
wasn't even
think
a
about him,
politician
though?
before this shit.
I want to know what you think about him. I don't even care if you tell us if you voted for him or not, but I really would love to hear what you think about President Trump.
Me?
Yeah, you. Absolutely.
Oh, I don't like the guy personally. I think he's going to be an awful president probably. I'm hoping, like, I feel like unlike a lot of people on the left, I'm not hoping that he fails miserably because I live in America and I would like for our country not to be further in the shit than we already are, which is
Listen. So you don't think like I lambast you after this? Let me ask you one question.
Okay.
Did you dislike him before he said he wanted to run for president? When you knew who he was and he was on The Apprentice and everything else, did you hate him? Did you say he was a horrible person then?
I thought he was a smarmy asshole, but a good
Well, that's fair.
businessman maybe. But then I learned that he wasn't even really a good businessman. I didn't really have any opinion of him.
Let me
to be
ask you
honest.
this in a different. There you go. That just quelled my next question. So in other words, you formed your opinion after he said he was going to run for office.
Well, I researched him more, and also just listening to him. I listened to like every address he did, or every
That's
thing
fair,
he
and I
said,
know that.
and
I
I'm
know
like-
that Base Mama agrees with me. I'm kind of curious, bastard. How about on what she's saying? Do you? I mean, what? Come on. What do you feel about him personally, if you care to share?
No, yeah, I don't really. I think a lot of. I'm not talking about today. I'm talking about just people in general. I think it just depends on the type of shit you find important. Like, I don't really like. So many people they hate him so much, and like, I don't necessarily like him. I never necessarily liked him, but I just figure, like, I don't know. I just don't put any effort into whether I like or dislike him. I just want to see what he does. And so based off so far what he's done in regards to like the TPP, I'm on board with that. I love how he totally trolls and fucks with the media. That's
I
the
love how he
main
killed
thing.
the TPP before he was even sworn in. I'm like, holy
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
So I would
That's
I
a
do
fucking
not
great
like the
alpha right
Keystone
there.
Pipeline and the North Dakota Pipeline being back, though.
yeah, I hear that.
American
See,
steel in the
I'm
pipes
in
or no
support
pipes?
I'm in support of the pipeline because
Me too.
it's replacing an old fucked up one, and there's
There's
not a
already
safer
one
way
there?
to move it. It's
Well, Mama,
old. It needs to be replaced.
I kind of want to ask you a question along the same vein too, but because I think that you're like me, that you like Donald Trump. But did your opinion? So
I like him
you
all
have
right.
you have a good opinion of him now? Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't think he'll be a great president. I don't think he'll be a horrible president. I think he'll be an okay president, and I think he'll go down in history as being a great president.
Well, that's
because
fair,
everyone
but
who came before him sucked balls.
that's very fair. But what I get, so let me ask you the same question I asked Day and Hard Bastard. did you change? Did your opinion change before escalator or post escalator? When he's, what I mean, come down the golden escalator and running for president. Did your opinion of him change after he said he was running for the Republican nomination?
Not really, because I'm in my fucking mid-30s, man. It's like, who doesn't know everything about Trump? If you're a 90s kid or an 80s kid, you know more shit about that motherfucker than you know about your spouse, and you don't want to know that shit.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Anyway.
I'm going to tell you right now, man, about 10 seconds. I love the fucking guy. He's type A. He never sleeps. He's a motherfucking animal. He has no ego or super ego. He's all id. He would take a shit in front of you if it made him feel good. He would grab the hamburger off your plate and eat it. He would fucking take your girlfriend or your boyfriend if he wanted to, and he wouldn't give a shit about nothing. And that is why I like him. I see a kindred spirit, but somebody that took it to a level that makes me look like a derelict moron. And the reason I see him keeping his promises right now is not because he's some great benevolent person. It's because he can't not do it. He can't sleep at night now. If he said, "Oh, I'm going to build a wall," and I know the whole thing. He didn't say build a wall the whole way. He said there's going to be a fence and natural borders. I watched almost every one of his rallies.
Yeah, because that law's been in place since 2010.
Yeah. Well, and I'll ramble on about all
We've been gonna do that.
I love the guy, but I don't love him because I think he's great, Day. I love him because he's a fucking maniac. I disagree with, I think, everybody, because I think he will go down in history 1,000 years from now as 1,000, I'm saying too, as great as George Washington, Ronald Reagan, JFK. And to me, those are three of the only real presidents I can name. I'd have to throw in Andrew Jackson. But other than that, we've had a bunch of stooge faggots that did whatever the fuck they were told. I don't mean faggot gay, so don't bust my fucking balls, you princey ass, mealy mouth fucking cocksuckers. If you do want to bust my balls, watch the hard bastard shit and watch the end credits. Suck my Jew cock. I say what the fuck I want, especially after a little bit of scotch from
I was just going to say, that scotch is good.
Well, I have a question for you. I got a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Have you noticed also that when he selects people for his cabinet, even if they don't like him, he still selects other alphas?
Oh yeah, always. In fact, if you look at it, Tillerson would eat Trump's fucking heart alive. He would crush Trump.
Like, wait, that is his man. That is his liaison between him and the whole fucking rest of the world. And that dude has never for a moment hidden the fact that he fucking hated him. But I would, because he was like, I don't like him, so.
Nope. He don't like him now. I don't think he likes him now.
But he wasn't a never Trumper either. He was just like, I don't like that motherfucker.
I feel like I'm taking over. But to answer your question, that's no. He surrounds himself with it because, listen, The Apprentice was, when you talk about Mark Burnett, he was a special ops in Australia, or I can't remember, New Zealand somewhere. But he got, when the first time, for some reason I'm brain farting the host's name, Jeff Probst. When he first got him, he was like, listen, this is going to be hell. And when it was a social experiment, Burnett is a fucking genius. He went from selling books down where Mark Dice works all the time on Venice Beach and whatnot. He went from selling books and just begging for anybody to get, and the whole time he had to say, and he got Trump, and it just showcases Trump's not a fucking genius. He does have 153 IQ. I have 132 IQ. I can't spell cat, and the hat came back. People that see my type, and I can't even type. You know, so if it's not, IQ doesn't mean, it's how well you could get out of a situation. So Trump has a high enough IQ, to wrap this up, to say, I will surround myself with people. He said it. He said, I'm going to surround Tillerson. I'll say it again. Tillerson would he would kick Trump's ass. And wow, that was, thank you, girl. However you made your mic come on when you did that. I needed that. That was badass. Because that caught me down a little bit. Made me realize I'm getting a little over the side of a skirt. And man, that was nice. Your boyfriend is, I hate his guts. No, I love it.
He wanted to do me before this chat. I said after.
Oh, man.
He's just torturing you.
Look, I don't even believe you, bitch. I'm gonna go on my idea right here. So Tillerson would crush Trump in any way you could pick. A fist fight, a spelling contest, who would survive in anyway. But he picked him as the second most powerful person. I mean, you have the Joint Chiefs of Staff. I'm not stupid, but they're four. There's not one of them. After the president, it's not the vice president. He's a derelict that goes to funerals. That's the most boring job in the world. Several of them have said. Look, so I'm rambling. Yeah, he surrounds himself with alphas because he's smart enough to know that if you get the job done, it doesn't matter. If your name's on the building, it's under budget and ahead of schedule, then it don't fucking matter who did it. If your name's on the building and you're the one that assembled the team, you still get to bask in the glory of the Trumpdom. You get to get your gigantic 60-story cock sucked by the world.
A ghost for you said in the chat, Trump equals blue-collar billionaire, and actually, yeah, that's true. That's how people think of him.
Did you see the guy hugging bastard? Tell me what you think. If you're still around, you might have left off.
No,
I'm still around. What did you? Would the guy jump at the fist? Do you think that was set up? I think it was just a maniac, and he even said.
No, I don't think it was set up. I think that was pretty genuine.
So was that just? This is my opinion, so I'm not blindsiding you. I believe he was on the WWE, dude. He cut McMahon's hair. He is a master of the mob. You know,
it's possible.
The great Roman
either
Emperor.
way, I don't really. To me, with Trump, the deal is it's more my neutrality of Trump is what turned me against Clinton and all of the bullshit. Like in the beginning of the election, I was like, all right, I guess I'll hold my nose for Clinton. And then all of the bullshit with the media.
I hate it.
Yeah, I know. You really couldn't. After you knew too much.
Yeah.
You can't unsee it. You can't get back in the cave.
And then just the lying, the outright fucking lying by the media. That's pretty much what made me vote for him. And then just like with the shit with my channel, I just basically, I think it's just coincidence that I end up defending him a lot because the media is deciding to make up complete bullshit. And my whole point's not necessarily because I'm not pro-Trump. I'm like, if he does actually do something fucked up, no one's going to listen because they make issues out of the smallest shit.
Yeah, I've seen your video. The Britisher did one very similar, and that was very poignant. So give an example because you did just said a little thing that you did a whole like 45-minute on that. Tell them what you mean by that. Like a boy that cried wolf syndrome with Trump.
Yeah, I mean, if he actually does something, right now the trust in the media is at an all-time low, and they're making issues. I mean, during the election, they made an issue about one of his sons using a cup that was designated for water, and instead he put lemonade in it. Who gives a fuck about that? What kind of shit's going on with your life that you would actually give a fuck about that? That's crazy to me.
Completely agree.
Yeah, Day, I'd like to hear a little bit more from you too, because I know you also. I just went on like a 5-minute diatribe about how Trump's cock is 60 stories tall. So give it.
I agree with the hard bastard, the boy who cried wolf syndrome. Before he even was inaugurated, people were pulling up all sorts of shit on him. That really has nothing to do with what he will be like as a president. And I feel like he's gonna fuck up a lot because he's a total noob as a politician.
Okay, but girl, listen, I can't let you keep saying that without telling me. Tell me how he's gonna fuck up, please, because I hear this a lot. I want to know what's he gonna fuck up?
Well, it all depends on his cabinet, which he has pretty much put together. Who has some people in it who I really disagree with, but I also don't like how in his
I ain't gonna keep busting your balls. This is the last time. But you said you don't agree with some cabinet members. Who are they? What don't you agree with?
I don't know their names. I just know that, and again, I have not brushed up on this as much as I feel like I put you on the spot anyway.
I'm going to shut up and you go on with your
DeVos with the school choice shit.
Yeah.
You don't like
Dude,
that
I am
bastard?
such a huge fan of that. You have no idea.
I like school choice. I don't like DeVos, but I do like school choice.
So why don't you like DeVos?
She started a business cult. I hate cults, so I don't like that. But
okay.
That doesn't mean that she's going to do a bad job. I don't know.
I'm ignorant on what you because I don't know much about the lady.
Amway. She started Amway. Now, no offense if anyone's in
that's
Amway.
Up in Harbor Spring, Michigan. Those are some cocksuckers.
I fucking joined it at some point. We all fucked up and joined Amway at some point. So, like, no offense to anybody, but that's basically my opinion about that. So that's why I don't like her. On the other hand, though, yeah, I think it's hilarious that you have Democrats arguing that against inner city kids being able to choose where they go to school.
Where to go to school and have the money.
That's crazy. Yeah. That's fucking crazy.
Does that like have to do with the charter schools and stuff?
Yeah, it does. But the thing is, that if public schools were decent, then I would disagree with school choice. But we're at a point where they're so bad, and when you see all the Democrats arguing, and all they're doing is they're stepping on the backs of all the poor black kids and exploiting them for their political purposes and fucking up their chances at an education.
So Bastard, before you got to go to bed or slip off here, help Day out and give me at least one or two more of his cabinet picks, because I know them all. But give me at least, if there are any that you disagree with, and what is it? Because I need this knowledge too, brother. I got blinders on, man. I need this fucking shit too, dude.
Well, it's not necessarily, they haven't really done anything yet. So, for example, I don't like DeVos, but I'm on board with school choice, at least for now, unless I see something that changes my mind. Tillerson and, the guy that was the Carl's Jr. guy, he's out, I think.
Yeah, he's out.
So it's not necessarily, my thing on his cabinet is, it seems like it's basically rich motherfuckers. But the bottom line is for me is they haven't done anything yet. So while I don't like them, I'm not really going to say anything till 100 days. You know what I mean?
But Day, you right away said, yeah, when he said, let me ask you two a question. Because I've seen McGinnis do this with that chick in the black and white, that crazy chick with the hot look. I'm sure everybody's seen that interview. Have you seen that, Bastard, where Gavin McGinnis interviews that the feminist lady? But let me just ask a question. Okay. Well, it's in black and white, and she's kind of got frizzy hair, and she's talking about, she was putting things on cars that said black people are suppressed, and we need to get
I didn't see that.
Well,
I didn't see that.
Let me just ask this question, and I'll give you all links to that. It's a great interview. Gavin McGinnis is one of my heroes. He's an honorary Jew because of his way with, anyway. So would you two rather the pay gap be here, okay, or here?
In regards to what? In regards to what?
If this finger represents poor people, and let me try to do this even better. If this finger represents
just verbalize it. Don't show me the fingers, because it's too laggy.
Okay. Would you rather have the poorest person, a poor family in America, be $45,000 a year instead of the abysmal like 8 or 10,000 a year? I mean, would you rather be the poorest American, be 40,000, but the richest American be a trillionaire now? They are no longer even billionaires. They're Rothschild money now. They got gold vaults in it. So would you rather it be lower for everybody, but the gap be closer between the richer or the poor, or the gap be astronomical, but the poor be richer, excuse me?
If you could have the poor be richer, and I don't give a fuck how big the gap is if people are making a living wage. So I'm cool.
You both agree with that? What you just said. See,
I agree too. Like, as long as the majority of people are okay.
Tell your liberal friends that, because they don't agree with that.
Oh, you think they can be reasoned with? That's cute. You think they can be reasoned with?
No, I don't know, dude. No, I think they'll actually burn
one
shit.
utopic thinking motherfucker.
I want to be. I'm anarcho-capitalist, and I want to be. You know what, Bastard? It's people like Day. It's people like Based Mama, who hasn't said a word in a while. We should probably say something. I should probably shut up for a minute.
Yeah, I got to roll soon. So go
yeah, it's all of us that could make a difference. So that said, hey, man, Bastard, you got to split. If it's time to go, listen, let's give the Bastard and Based Mama and Day 2, if you got to go, let's give everybody a chance to plug their channels. Go ahead, Bastard. Any last thoughts? youtube.com/hardbastard. Again, like I said, I deconstruct bullshit. And if you have any questions, if you're like watching the chat, you can hit Twitter. I'll probably answer them tomorrow. And that's it. It was a pleasure, everybody. Good meeting everybody. I'll talk to you, Ogre. Hey, Hard Bastard, before you go, I want you to hear this from my mouth. I knew Sargon of Akkad. I'm saying this live for everybody. If he ever sees this, he could call me a liar, but I used to be called Gunther 360. And the bastard just poof and vanish. And there's a lot of other people, but you and the Britisher and Based Mama are 3 people, and I'm not leaving you out, Dave. It's just they actually have a big following, that are people of their words. And I just want to thank you for being somebody that even as you're growing astronomically, that you remember that I talked to you on chat and said, dude, you're going to be bigger than the Young Turks. I'm telling you that again.
I don't buy that at all, but I appreciate the positivity. I don't buy that. I'm not even, 13,000 is really not that much. However, I appreciate the positivity. I think that's crazy, but I appreciate the positivity.
Go see him. Go see the Hard Bastard on YouTube. Check him out on Twitter. All the links will be in the description. Thanks a lot, Hard Bastard.
All right, guys. Peace out.